welcome all of you who are here. Firstly, I would like to welcome the department and the MEC in absentia. I'm told the MEC is on her way. She will join us later. We will acknowledge her as soon as she comes in. Let me also acknowledge the Office of the AG, the Auditor General, is here with us today. And members of the Portfolio Committee who are here with me, they will introduce themselves later on. And most importantly, acknowledge the staff that is assisting us who made this event possible today. And even more importantly, all our stakeholders, and I'm going to call you by name, stakeholders. You are a very important part of this meeting, and we really want to acknowledge you. I would like to acknowledge the Women on Agriculture, Isikati Esihle. A round of applause for you. Flakfontein, Tinangege Silambe Co-op. Ivory Park, Ivory Gardens and Youth Explosion, Nikona. Springs, Ekurhuleni Farming Development Association, Abagafik. Rural SA Tertiary Co-op, Umkario Women and Youth in Water, Manage Trading, Lekatu Fresh Produce, okay, Freshly Living Garden, Reahula Development and Projects, okay, Catvok, Rekaufela Agricultural Projects, Zondolelo Projects, Vuguzenzela Agricultural Projects, Makwe and Kids Consortium, Tutukani, and finally SSD Foods. You are all welcome, and thank you very much for honoring the invitation. And please note that we do have interpreters at the back of the room there, and there are gadgets that are being used for different channels. We will use all languages, and there will be interpretation to that effect. So if we present in English, you can listen KaSizulu or KaSetswana or KaSepedi, whatever language, and I will tell you which channel to use for which language. And if you need a gadget, you will raise your hand and the gadget will be distributed amongst yourselves. So for English, it's channel 1, ne? On the gadget. Sepedi le Setswana, Simo channel 2. Afrikaans channel 3. And isiZulu le Setsonga channel 4. So if you will need interpretation, you can just raise your hand so that they can give you the gadget, and then you can use the relevant channel to listen properly so that you don't miss anything. And you are also allowed, when you make your input, to speak in any language that you prefer. We will be able to interpret and listen to what you are actually saying. So, I'm total bank disadvantaged, and I hope the sign language is also here, so that for those of you who can hear, can be able to follow as well. And perhaps let me also welcome all the people who are watching on social media, on YouTube, as well as Facebook. We are live on Facebook and YouTube. So everyone is welcome. I'm told the bathrooms are, as you proceed outside the passage, there are stairs going down. So you go out and then you use the stairs going down. That's where the bathrooms are. So I hope you are all, you all had tea, coffee, and we are ready to start. So can we have the distribution of the gadgets so that as we start there is no interruption? Let's have the hands raised for those that will require the gadgets so that they can be distributed. Do we have them at the back there? Yes, please, yeah, the hands are up. Please distribute the gadgets in the meantime. Yeah. Ale feditse ka tsona, they are to be returned. They are the property legislature so that they can be reused in our next meeting. Ne? A re ka tsona gae, akere baholo. Thank you. My apologies. There's a group that I did not acknowledge. Ekenhof Farmers. Palm Spring Farmers. Let's step ahead. Thank you very much. You are also welcome to be with us this morning. Thank you so much. Oh, there's another group, Tebe ya Tumelo. Okay, I hope you are all welcome and you have all registered your names. If I have not acknowledged you, just send the name so that we can also acknowledge you. Ne? We are not discriminating anyone because we love all of you. As you all know, Baholo, ladies and gentlemen, maybe before we do that, let me allow the members of the committee to actually introduce themselves because you need to know who your members are. These are honorable members of the legislature. I will start on my right-hand side for the member to introduce himself. Over to you.
Okay, yeah, libitso la ka ke Mpapa Kanyani, ke member ya committee ya agriculture. Thank you.
Next one.
Good morning, everyone. I'm member Jade Miller.
Morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm member Bronwyn Engelbrecht, and it's an honor to be here today.
Ndi macheloni dzina langa ndi Azwi wa chitangano ndi muraḓo wa committee nda.
Thank you very much, honorable members. As you all know, Portfolio Committee ya Legislature is composed of these members. We are tasked with the responsibility to play oversight over the Department of Agriculture, Rural Development and Environment. And you would know that previously this department fell under economic development. But recently with the changes in Gauteng government, they are two separate departments. So we are focusing on agriculture, rural development, and the environment. So this is the team who is going to be responsible for playing oversight over the Department of Agriculture, Rural Development, and the Environment. So as the legislature, or as the legislators, we are tasked with three things. First, we are responsible for lawmaking. Secondly, we play oversight, which includes physical visits to the sites where we do inspections so that we can hold the department accountable on the work that they're supposed to do. And thirdly, we are tasked with the responsibility to do public participation, which is where you also come in, because we regard you as our partners. You are supposed to help us do oversight. And today is a very important day because we are going to get a presentation by the AG, Auditor General, because they are responsible for auditing all departments in Gauteng. And then we are also going to interrogate the annual performance report of the department. So because you assist us to do oversight, you will be able to pose questions to the department as relates to the annual report to say, but here You were supposed to do this, but you did not do that. That's why I'm saying you are our partners. That's why you are our stakeholders to assist us to play oversight over the department. Ke tshepa hore ke a utlwisisega, akere? And the purpose of our meeting today is that, firstly, the department will make a presentation, as I said, on the Gauteng Department of Agriculture and Rural Development, on its second quarterly performance report, as well as department will make the presentation on the annual performance report, like I said. And over and above that, we do have the Office of the AG, who will also make a presentation on the audit findings. So those are the issues that we will be confronted with this morning, ladies and gentlemen. Let me then take apologies, if there are any apologies from some of the members who are supposed to be here. Can you just take us through the apologies?
Thanks, Chair, members and stakeholders. I have no apologies. Thanks.
Okay, thank you so much. I think let me just go through the agenda so that we can adopt it, because as per the procedures of the legislature, we need to adopt this agenda. Members must give an indication. We've done apologies. Item 3 is the confirmation of the agenda, and the agenda is as follows. Like I said, we will have a presentation by the Department of Agriculture and Rural Development on the annual performance report for the 2021-22 financial year. A presentation by the Auditor General on the audit findings, focusing on the annual report of 2022-2023 financial year. Thereafter, we will have discussions or submissions by members and stakeholders on the presentation. So if you've got written submissions, you are also allowed to present those written submissions. You don't all have to speak. And then we will also have, on item 4.2, we'll have the second quarterly performance report for the 2022-23 financial year, as well as followed by the discussions. Item 5 are the resolutions tracking. The members would know what I'm referring to. And then item 6 is the provincial bills. Item 7 are petitions. 8 correspondences, if there are any. Item 9, which is matters arising, I think that we will skip for today. I don't think it's relevant for this meeting. And the final item will be adjournment and announcement of the date of the next meeting. Can I have a move and a seconder for the adoption of the agenda, honorable members?
I'll move, Chair.
Member Engelbrecht moves.
I do second.
Member Kanyane seconds. Thank you so much, honorable members. Let's then proceed to the presentation by the Auditor General on the audit finding, focusing on the 2022-23 financial year. Over to you. I'm sure you can, before you present, just introduce yourself so that our stakeholders can know who you are. You can come forward, sir.
All right, thank you.
So I think it will be beamed. Yeah, the presentation is there. You can all have a look. Listen carefully and just make your notes. If you want to make a remark later on, you should be able to do that. And I'm going to request for you to be straight and to the point as you raise your questions. Don't give us a whole story. Just be precise so that your answer can be responded to adequately. Thank you. Over to you.
Okay, thank you very much, Chair. And once again, good morning to the committee members, and as well as good morning to the community that invited. Chair, my name is Velapi Mazena, I work for Office of the Auditor General. I'm the Auditor General representative. I was the engagement manager, senior manager for the audit of Department of Agriculture and Environment for the financial year ending 2022. Before I start, Chair, let me take this opportunity to thank yourself very much for allowing us to present the audit outcome for the Department of Agriculture for 2022. We believe that we could add value in your quest to, in terms of service delivery. And once again, thank you very much. We really appreciate that. Chair, if I may, if you can allow me, I would like to present the audit outcome for, we've had the presentation slide. If I can ask that it be flighted. Yes, thank you. So here we've got the slide, as you will see, Chair, we've got a slide that we have prepared to present for the audit outcome. If we couldn't move to, okay, pardon. I'll just move to slide number 3. As you'll see that in terms of paragraph 1.1, we've got the mission of Auditor General, which is mainly, as Auditor General, we've got a constitutional mandate, and we are a supreme audit institution of South Africa. We exist to strengthen our country's democracy by enabling oversight, accountability, and governance, and in the public sector through auditing, and thereby we believe that we build the public confidence. And you'll see that also our mission is to be recognized by all our stakeholders, including the community members, as a relevant supreme audit institution that enhances public sector accountability. And then I will then move to the next slide. Or this
Sorry,
slide.
just to interrupt you slightly. If possible, I don't know if you can just beam the whole presentation and remove the picture of the presenter, just leave the interpreter, the sign language person on so that we can see, because otherwise it's just too small. We can't,
Okay.
I don't think we can see. Yeah, thanks.
Can you enlarge it?
If you can just
Enlarge
put
it.
back the insert of the sign language interpreter. If possible, sorry to disturb your technical advancement. Okay, I think you can proceed in the meantime, in the interest of time,
Okay, no, thank you very much, Chair.
while they're sorting it out.
Yes, yeah. So you'll see, Chair, here we've got the graphics that we've prepared. In the graphics, you'll see that we've got some bars. There are bars those bars are representing the audit outcome. That is the audit results, maybe just to put it that way, that we, for the past 5 years when we, that were discussed with the department. As you will see that from the yellow bar stand for that the department obtained an unqualified audit report with findings on compliance with laws and regulation or on performance information. And then the green bar, it depicts that the department obtained the audit outcome which were with no findings on either compliance or on other compliance with laws and regulation or performance information. Normally, Chair, this is the part that we would prefer to see the department sitting on, which they managed to achieve in 2021 financial year. The green bar that you see in the middle is the part that the department, and then in 2021-22 financial year, the department then regressed and then they obtained the unqualified. It was still an unqualified, but they had a finding on compliance with legislation. Chair, I will talk to that in the later slides. And then if you go to the bottom, which is paragraph 3, we do give the details of the meaning of those bar. As you'll see, from 2017-18 financial year when we started auditing, up to 2022, you'll see that we said unqualified with no findings, and then in 2021 there was an improvement. Then they went back to unqualified with findings. And then moving on, you'll see, Chair, in paragraph in the next slide, the way we also included emphasis of matter. Emphasis of matter. These are just the disclosures that the department did make in their annual report, annual financial statements, where you'll see that the first one, which we believe that it's of public interest, is an underspending of the department on the program, on program 2, which the department it's an area that they are struggling to address, which I will talk to the details. And then also we also emphasize that there are significant uncertainty relating to litigation that the department there are certain stakeholders that are litigating the department, and then in the past 5 years there has been that disclosure in the annual report by the department. It's not a finding, I must emphasize. And then moving on here is just I've spoken to the first section whereby we said that the department did not receive an unqualified with findings. And then on compliance, the department, that is where then the department did not do well. There was a non-compliance with laws and regulations, and that relates in the main on the quality of submitted financial statement. There was just one error item in the financial statement where the department did not capture certain fines which were approved then by the MEC, with the result that there was an understatement. However, after we raised that matter with the department did manage to adjust the financial statement so that they do capture, disclose those fines. However, because as Auditor General, because it was us who brought this to the attention of the department, we do assess that if there was an omission in disclosing that those fines, and then we assess that it was a material omission which resulted then in a material adjustment by the department. But then other than that, if one looks at the other areas, like for example, which I know that you'll find that it's of interest, on procurement and contract management, there was no finding on the department. On expenditure management, there was no finding that we pick up from the department. And then on paragraph 4.2 below, we are giving details on the emphasis of matter, which is of interest. Like I indicated earlier, that the department had materially underspent in program 2. They underspent by 75 million and 60 on program 2, which is rural agriculture. We believe that that's an area that the department needs to pay attention, because it does have an impact on the service delivery or on meeting those programs that the department want to achieve for the financial year. And then earlier on, I also emphasized that the department it's a defendant in various lawsuits. In the financial year that we audited, the balance amounted to 145,698,000. It's not to say that it has been paid, but the department did disclose, because if you receive the letter of demand from any person in the stakeholder, you have to disclose as a department. And if one compares to 2021, there was a slight decrease, because in 2021 it was sitting at 146,723, so it then decreased to 145 million. And then, Chair, the other areas which I would like to highlight is with regards to the predetermined objective that I must emphasize that the department, there was no material findings. What we do as Auditor General, we don't only audit financial statements, we also audit performance information that the department would have disclosed in the financial statement. So in this instance, the department, there were no material findings. So on the selected program that we selected for auditing, which then improves the credibility of the annual report that the department will publish to the community. We commend the department for that. And then I have spoken to the underspending. And then on irregular expenditure, you'll see in paragraph 4.1, 14451, the department did not, that's what another area which the department is doing well, the department did not incur any irregular expenditure for, I think now it's been a third year in the row that I've been auditing the department. They did not incur any irregular expenditure, but however, there is a balance of irregular expenditure which the department incurred in previous year. It's sitting at 86 million, and what the department needs to do is that they need to finalize there are certain investigations that the department is investigating, and those investigations, according to the department, they are sitting with the Office of the Premier. They are awaiting the outcome of the Premier, because once the Office of the Premier finalize the investigation and submit the report, then the department needs to then implement those recommendations that will come from that report. If the report says they need to help a certain official liable for incurring those irregular expenditure, that's the expectation from us. Or if they say there was no person liable, then the department, the expectation is that they need to regularize those irregular expenditure. And then moving on, I see that the TV, I'm not sure, maybe it's only from my side that I see it's, oh, there it comes back. Okay, yeah, the other area that the department, that we also audit fruitless and wasteful expenditure. So you'll see, Chair, that the department, even in 2022, it did not incur any fruitless and wasteful expenditure based on our audit, which is commendable. There was, of course, the irregular expenditure balance that is arising from prior year. As you'll see that we've prepared the bar, there's a chart there. It's like a step, blue. It's blue. It shows that, okay, back in previous year, there is a irregular expenditure that the department has. It's currently the balance was sitting at 20 million, as well as in 2021 the department incurred fruitless and waste of 55,000. But in 2022, the financial year that we audited, we did not identify any fruitless and wasteful expenditure that the department incurred. However, like I indicated earlier, with regards to irregular expenditure, the same process needs to take place also when it comes to fruitless expenditure, that the department need to investigate, and then once those investigations are finalized, and then they need to determine who should be held liable for those previous fruitless and wasteful expenditure. And then in the other areas that we also look at, Chair, we also look at the department's internal controls. Here, Chair, this chart just speaks to we also assess the department's internal controls. And as you'll see that the only area that we believe that the department need to pay attention to from leadership level, it's on the oversight responsibility in the preparation of the financial statement, so that to make sure that it is complete and accurate, as well as on the on reporting and compliance, and that only relates to it's interrelated to the preparation of the financial statements. And then when it comes to the recommendation, Chair, you'll see that in paragraph 7.2 at the bottom, we are recommending to the portfolio committee that they should follow up with the executive committee on regular basis and to ensure effective implementation.
No, thank you very much, Ntate Velapi, for the presentation on the audit outcomes for the department. Maybe before I take inputs or questions, let me acknowledge the following cooperatives. Renali Midval Farmers Co-op, you're welcome. Thank you, Papa. And also Shenge Manyamane projects and youth farmers who are dealing with cattle farming. Where are you? Youth farmer, okay. You're welcome. Thank you very much. Honorable members, colleagues, our dear stakeholders, there's the presentation by the Auditor General. You have received it. He has highlighted quite a number of issues. Firstly, the slight regression by the department from a clean audit in the previous financial year to an unqualified audit with findings. And he outlined the findings there in detail. He talked to the underspending, he talked to the litigations, he talked to the AG is commending the department because they did not incur any fruitless and wasteful expenditure for the year under review, which is good. I think it's something to commend the department, because remember, even if we do oversight, where the department does well, we need to also commend them so that Reba encourage to do even better and to sustain the good practices that they do. We don't want them regressing. So where they are underperforming, like underspending, that's where we need to hit hard. But where they perform good, we must applaud them as well. And I think you also talked to the internal controls, some weaknesses there, which the portfolio committee will be able to take up with the department as and when we engage with them thoroughly in due course. So I am going to now open for comments or questions of clarity in terms of the presentation that the AG has made. Remember, we are still going to receive the presentation by the department. So this one is just for the AG, ne? So I'm going to start with honorable members. Honorable members, if any one of you wants to say something, I will note you, and thereafter I will go to the floor. Honorable Chitangana.
Thank you, Chair. Don't you think it will be better for the department to do its presentation first, and then we discuss? Otherwise, we are going to ask the very same questions, and which might be a sort of a repetition. I thought maybe if the department can be allowed to do the presentation, and after that we can deal with them wholesomely. It's just my suggestion.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's a good suggestion, Honorable Chitangano. I don't know how other members feel. We can take the department's presentation
and then we can discuss both after the department has made their presentation. I don't think there's any harm in doing it that way. And let's also take the opportunity to welcome the MEC Mbali Hlope, who has just joined us. MEC, you can greet our stakeholders.
Thank you, Slalo, and greetings to everybody. Let me apologize, Chair, that we had indicated that I'd be arriving a bit late. But I'm gladly, quite happy that there's a full house today. I was indicating that it shows the level of interest in the work that the department is doing, and I think that's a good thing for us, particularly because we want to increase and grow agriculture. So this turnout is quite good and is quite pleasing, so that we're able to give a report back, but also to indicate some of the exciting things that we seek to do in terms of growing the sectors, as it were. Thank you.
Thank you very much, MEC. I don't know if you have stepped into what I was going to request you next, because now that I'm going to call the department, I would like you to make an overview, and thereafter you can hand over to whoever is going to be making the presentation on behalf of the department. So you can come back. Over to you, MEC.
Thank you, Chair. The department is going to present what would be our performance over the second quarter. Chair, is to indicate that really from a performance point of view, the department has been able to deal with a number of the targets that they were given. The only area of concern would be our under expenditure, but this is not unique to the department alone. As we know, during the first few months, there was the circular from Treasury that really had a huge impact in terms of the expenditure of a lot of the departments, and not just in Gauteng, but really nationally. So this department is not unique to that under expenditure, but there are measures in place to make sure that we're able to gain some ground and be able to deliver accordingly. As far as the work that the department is doing, you know, also maybe just to give some background to umphakathi wethu ukuthi there has been changes in that the Department of Agriculture, Rural Development and Environment has now been combined with the Department of Social Development. And this, Chair, is so that the two departments, we are able to eradicate poverty. We seek to have a war on poverty, as what Premier Bayaza Lisufi would have indicated. And because Lama Department Langa we too are really engaged in that work, it's about streamlining and making sure that we have greater impact. So there's a lot of initiatives that we're going to be bringing, as I was indicating earlier. Part of umsebenzi esifuna ukuwenza ukuthi we must make agriculture to be fashionable. Abantu abaningi bethu, especially more in Gauteng, do not think that we're an agriculture province. But we want to be able to make sure that individuals are able to grow their own food. Because the Department of Social Development gives out food parcels. We'll continue to do that, but as a long-term strategy, we are looking into how can we make sure that we start to decrease on food parcels so that people can grow their own food. We want to be a government that empowers society, not a government that gets people to constantly be begging and waiting for a food parcel. So ours is about giving hand-ups and not handouts. And these are part of the initiatives that we are working towards so that people can be able to self-sustain themselves. It's about bringing back the dignity of society. Because as for no dependent and always for ukudla. So we want individuals, and especially young people, to be the ones that are engaged in agriculture and also environmental sustainability work that we're doing. So that as much as we focus, Premier Wetu has said we must focus on what we call teach communities, townships, informal settlements, hostels. We're going to be focusing on that as the Gauteng government. So all departments, all the projects that we'll be working on will be focused on these teach communities, and it's about empowerment and development, because we know that is where the biggest challenges are. We're appreciative of the stats that are there, which unemployment is high. We also note that there's a high unemployment, especially amongst young people. That is why we want to create them to now be individuals who can stand on their own and be able to do work that can bring pride and joy to their families. So, Chair, I thought I should also just give some background to indicate the changes that have been made, because this is our first portfolio committee meeting. So whilst we'll be giving a briefing in terms of the second quarter and what would have taken place there, we also felt that it was important we project into the future so that as we deal with the third quarter, fourth quarter, and going forward, you are not surprised. Manbono ukuthi these two departments will be working a lot closer together. Ngiyabonga Sihlalo.
Thank you. Thank you very much, MEC, for outlining it in the manner that you did for our stakeholders to also understand, because some of them might not know as yet that the two departments are under your leadership and oversight. So, limutlile MEC, yake, for social development, agriculture, rural development and environment under her watch, and why, the reasons why they have merged the two departments to fight poverty amongst us and to make agriculture fashionable, so that all of you, you must take up agriculture. You know, we must also promote agriculture, even mollification in our backyards. Everywhere where there's an open space, we should be able to leverage on that open space so that people don't go hungry. We saw COVID, how people were hungry when they've got backyards where they could plant their own tomatoes and spinach. But unfortunately, people sometimes they don't think, you know, we tend to forget because we get defocused. But government is here to guide you and to assist you wherever possible. So I don't know who's going to be presenting MEC. I think you can delegate.
Thanks, Chair. The HOD, okay. Thank you.
You can just introduce yourself and proceed.
Good morning. I'm not HOD. I am Samu Muringai. I am the Director for Strategic Planning in the department. I'm just going to do the performance section of the annual report, has already been asked, and then we'll ask the CFO to do the financial part. Okay, that's just the outline of the presentation. We're here to just present the annual report and show how the department has performed in the 2021-22 financial year. So this slide, I'm struggling to see. Okay. So this slide shows the number of indicators that the department had in terms of what is in their annual performance plan for financial year 2021-22. We had a total of 128 indicators, and the reason for a high number of indicators that we have is because we are two combined sector indicators for environmental affairs. So as a result, our indicator number is quite high. But out of this 128 indicators, 99 of them were achieved, and 29 were not achieved, which then resulted in a 77% achievement of our annual targets in the APP, and we have not achieved the 23% in terms of those indicators. And the non-achievement is really on Program 1, on 6 indicators, and Program 2, we did not achieve 14 indicators, and in Program 3, we did not achieve 9 indicators. And that, the table below is just the breakdown of how many indicators in each of the programs. So in Program 1, we had 13 indicators, 7 were achieved and 6 were not achieved. So 54% was achieved and 46% was not achieved in Program 1. In Program 2, we had a total of 73 indicators. 59 were achieved, which is 81%, and 14 were not achieved, which is 19%. In Program 3, there was a total of 42 indicators that we planned for the financial year. 33 were achieved, which is 79%, and 9 were not achieved, which is 21%, which then is the total that we've already spoken about, the total of 99 that we achieved against the 128 indicators. In terms of areas of achievement, if it's fine with you, Chairperson, as I indicated, we have 99 indicators that we have achieved, and I don't think we should go through all of them. If you allow me, I'll just give a summary of what we've achieved and then go straight to the areas of non-achievement. Otherwise, I can go through all of them. Okay, thank you, Honorable Chairperson. So in terms of the indicators that we've achieved, we've done quite well in Program 1 in terms of ensuring that we have 100% reduction in terms of irregular expenditure. We've procured all our procurement has been implemented through the open tender system, and for all our tenders above 30 million, we've subcontracted to SMMEs as required. And in terms of the employment equity, we've achieved 62% in terms of women that are employed within the department at SMS level against the target of 50, and persons with disabilities, the target is 2%, we've achieved 3%, and we've been able to keep our vacancy rate below 10%, and we are currently at 8%. And in terms of food security, the department continues to implement the food security programs through agricultural initiatives that are targeting women, youth, and persons with disabilities. It's just one of the highlights of our achievements. In the 2021-22 financial year, we've managed to support 4,130 subsistence farmers with production inputs and on and off farm infrastructure. Of these 4,130 farmers, 63%, so more than half of those ones were women. So we really are focusing on making sure that women are achieving. And we've also supported some farmers towards commercialization, and we managed to secure some private partnerships with PepsiCo and other financial institutions that have allowed us to achieve on our targets. In terms of climate change, we continue to implement our climate change strategy. In 2021-22, we had 104 climate change related projects that were registered, of which 64% were mitigation related, 21% adaptation based, and the 15% cutting across. And through our Gauteng Symbiosis program, we've managed to do a lot of savings in terms of GHG emissions and landfill diversions, and the detail obviously is in the report. So I'm going to jump all the slides that are talking to our achievement. These are all the 99 indicators that we were able to achieve and overachieve on, and just go to the areas of non-achievement. I think my slides, oh, there we go. It's quite a few. It is 99 indicators, apologies for that. Okay. So in terms of the areas where we came short as a department, just going through my notes here. It's regarding the invoices that were paid within 15 working days. The target for the financial year is 100, and we were at 94% at the end of the financial year with the variance of 6%. However, all our invoices within 30 days were paid, so we are at 100% in terms of the legislation and the provincial requirement. However, in terms of 15 days, we were slightly below at 94%. And the reason for exceeding the 15 days were due to invoices that were rejected due to exception and late submission of RLSO2 by end users. Invoices were cleared in the next payment run. However, they exceeded the required 15 days. As a result, we did not achieve on these particular indicators. We have not achieved our targets in terms of procurement of businesses owned by designated groups, that's women, youth, and persons with disabilities, and military veterans. And this is because of the reason that the MEC has already alluded to, the Constitutional Court ruling on the preferential on the PPR regulation. So as a result, we were not able to achieve on these particular indicators. There was some achievement because we used our RFQ system. However, we were not able to achieve on the targets. In terms of businesses owned by women, the target was 40%. We achieved 39%, so we were out by 1%. In terms of youth, the target is 30%, and we achieved 26%. We are out by about 4%. And in terms of military veterans, we were not able to achieve on this particular one. In terms of percentage increase in department spend, in township, again, the constitutional ruling did affect the department very much in this regard. We were able to achieve 18% with a variance of 22% against the target of 40%. In terms of special projects, the work opportunities created through TEPO 1 million, we had a target of 3,000. We were able to achieve 2,459 with a variance of 541 work opportunities that were not achieved. And this is because of the constraint in executing some programs due to dependencies in availability of opportunities in the department. And we are expediting these programs in the current financial year to ensure that we are achieving. And you will see when we do our Q2 presentation that we are at least trying to achieve on this particular indicator. In terms of sustainable resource, which is the next slide, we did not achieve against the target on agricultural infrastructure established. We had a target of 76, we only achieved 4 with a variance of 72. This is because of due to tenders that were not responsive. As a result, DBSA had to re-advertise some of these tenders, so we depend on DBSA to implement some of these infrastructure projects, and due to challenges there, we were not able to achieve. And in terms of the indicator, hectares of agricultural land rehabilitated and green jobs created, these 2 indicators are funded through the land care grant. However, because of the late approval of the business plan, I think it was approved in the 3rd quarter of last year. As a result, we were not able to implement all of the targets in these particular 2 indicators. So the green jobs are created through the rehabilitation of land. And because of the late approval, then we were not able to achieve on this indicator. The recycled furniture items produced from invasive plant eradication from farms, we were also not able to achieve on this particular indicator due to the non-responsive of tenders for the projects and capacity to implement the projects. We, as a department, though, will ensure procurement of the required service providers are committed for this particular project going forward. In terms of awareness campaigns on disaster risk reduction conducted, the target was 4, we achieved 2. Due to COVID regulation, we were not able to do face-to-face meetings. As a result, the awareness campaigns were cancelled and we were not able to do all of them, but 2. In terms of smallholder producers commercialized, we did not achieve on this particular indicator. I must say to the committee that we did support farmers to be commercialized. However, because farmers were not in a position to produce their financial statements, to say they've moved from point A to point B, we were not able to then say we have commercialized these farmers. But in terms of the number that was supported, I think we were at 29 of these smallholder farmers, but in terms of the AG processes, then these farmers were counted as 0 because they were not able to produce, and they are not at the level where they can produce financial statements. In terms of farmer production support units established, we did not achieve on this particular indicator. The target was 1. This was because of unavailability of funds to procure on to achieve on this particular indicators. I think there was a delay on the processes between the implementing agent. In terms of veterinary services, these are services to ensure reduction of diseases among our animals and animal products. We had a target for epidemiological units for veterinary intervention of 9,000. We achieved 8,076 with the variance of 924. This was due to delays in the delivery of the veterinary consumables such as the bleeding tubes, vaccination needles, which are imported from other countries. So there was a delay in Q3 in the procurement of these ones. They were not imported on time. We were actually expecting that this indicator will perform way low. However, we were able to push in the final quarter to achieve 91% against this target. In terms of small livestock and poultry producers targeted for commercialization that are receiving veterinary service support services, only 54 were listed or registered for this particular program. So we could only support the ones that were registered, and it was the first time that we actually implement this program. So as we implement it further, we are confident that we will achieve on this particular indicator, taking into consideration that in our first financial year of implementing this, we were able to support all that were registered, which is the number 54. Number of laboratory tests performed according to prescribed standards, we had a target of 55,000. We were able to perform 54,784 with a variance of about 212. And this is a demand-driven indicator. It's dependent on the samples that are collected by the laboratory, and they were only able to collect the number that we are reporting on. I think I forgot to move my slides here. Apologies. In terms of the Agri-Expo organized, we were not able to achieve on this particular indicator. It could not be, the expo could not be hosted due to delays in the advertisement of the tender. The delays were caused by the late appointment or the delay in the appointment of the property auditor. In terms of the agri-parks that have been established per district, the target was 1. And we were not able to achieve against this target, also because the project was handed over to DBSA, and they could not finalize the process of appointing the professional service providers on time for us to report at the end of the financial year. And in terms of rural development, the indicator that was not achieved there is the number, the rural infrastructure projects supported. The target was 4. We have not achieved on this one because the PIR had taken longer than anticipated. However, we are moving towards ensuring that this is done in this financial year. And the number of hectares of agricultural land released for food production purposes, the target was 10,000. We were able to release 6,942 hectares, and the variance of 3,000 hectares, of about 3,000 hectares, and this is because of the hectares of lands that were released from City of Eguruleni and from the Gauteng Department of Infrastructure. In terms of environmental services, percentage of administrative enforcement notices complied with, the target was 62%, we only achieved 45%. 183 administrative enforcement actions were issued in the financial year. 83 were complied with, resulting in that 45% that we spoke about. Some of the complaint notices were not finalized because the time had not lapsed for them to be finalized, and the recommendations, measures to be implemented were not yet concluded. So we had not achieved 17%. In terms of number of S24G applications finalized within 60 days of payment of administrative fines, the target was 25. We only finalized 14, and this is because the administrative fines, some of them were under appeal. So when they are under appeal, they cannot be finalized until we have received the fines from the offender. In terms of the percentage of completed EIA applications finalized within legislative timeframes, the target was 100%, we are at 95%, and the reason for this is because of a portion of applications that were submitted online and were affected by the system's technical challenges, but we are working on the challenges to resolve so that we are able to achieve on this indicator. And in terms of, I'm almost done, the feasibility study for a regional integrated waste facility, we were not able to achieve on this project. The project involves development of regional waste management facilities in 3 metros, thus the development in the phase approach. So we basically, in terms of this particular project, we were able to do all the initial phases in terms of this project, but the project runs over 3 years, and we were not able to finalize the project in 2021 financial year. In terms of the buyback centers upscale to the commercial levels, 5 was targeted and 5 were not, 5 was targeted and we have not achieved against this one. And the funding application for these 5 buyback centers were submitted to the external funders, and we are awaiting their decision on these particular ones. In terms of the recycling facilities, I think this is the repetition. The recycling facilities and buyback centers supported with recycling equipment, we had a target of 75, we achieved 3. The target was not met due to delays in the appointment of property auditors. The procurement of the recycling equipment will be advertised, and we will start implementing this once that process has been finalized. In terms of Gauteng waste minimization regulation promulgated, we have done groundworks in terms of this particular waste minimization regulation. However, the actual regulation has not been promulgated because it's something that takes more than a financial year. In terms of hectares under conservation estates, we had a target of 91,000. We have achieved 87,427. The reason for this is that only 418 hectares of intended 100 hectares were added into the conservation estate and complied with the regulation of the SLA. So as a result, the rest were not compliant and we were not able to achieve on this one. And in terms of new stewardship sites assisted to increase land under conservation through biodiversity stewardship program, the target was 1, and we did not achieve against this target. And the reason for this is attributed to the external dependency, which led to the delays in the certification notices by the SLA and the publication of the intended, and the publication of intended to declare the notices. So yeah, that's the end of my presentation in terms of the areas of non-achievement against the 128 indicators that we had in the APP. I will then, with the permission of the Honorable Chairperson, allow the CFO to present on the financial statements.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much for the detailed presentation. I must say that we do appreciate the presentation, and from my side, the areas of underperformance are, for me, the key areas, the most important. You know that the aspect of agriculture, planting, food security, it can be done, it's doable if the department has got a will to do that. But I'm more concerned about our environment, which in the main is where you are lacking. I mean, if you drive around Momakation Arena, there's lots of filth, dump areas. I know the municipalities are responsible in the main for that. They must enforce the bylaws, which they don't. But I just want to understand, Hori, what is your role as the provincial government to ensure that you work with the municipalities so that we get our environment to be clean? We ensure that our people live in safe and clean environments. When you drive along, you ride the How train. I use the How train a lot. How fit around the area, Alexander? You can see the filth from that view. People setting up buyback centers everywhere. And the filth end up in the stream, which is a disaster for our environment. So I don't know where and when does the department intervene, because it's a real concern for me, because it's a health hazard over and above everything else. So I think that the areas of underperformance, it shows that there's nothing that is being done in terms of the environment. The emphasis is not being put on making sure that our environment is clean, healthy, and safe for our residents. So from my side, I would want to see a difference. I want to see change in that aspect, over and above other things that you are supposed to be doing in terms of agriculture. So I'm going to open now for comments or questions from members of the House, and then we will get the responses. After the responses, then we will open for our stakeholders to engage. Honorable members, can I get an indication of those that want to speak? Honorable Chitangan, Honorable Engelbrecht will follow, and Honorable Mpapa will be the third one. You can start.
Chair, still on that, still on my initial submission, don't you think it will be prudent for us to allow them to present the financials?
Oh, they are not done with the presentation. The CFO, yeah, they had said the CFO will present the financials. Can you do that?
Thanks, Honorable Chitangan. Are you ready, CFO? Okay, it doesn't seem like you're ready. We'll proceed in this aspect, and when they are ready, they will come back. Let's proceed, Honorable Member. You can start.
Okay. Thank you, Honorable Chair, and the MEC. You are welcome to agriculture. Let me take my spectacles. There is an issue of underspending, more so around the conditional grants. And the majority of the people who are here, or if not all, are farmers. There is a huge need in terms of things like fence, like boreholes, like greenhouses, like piggeries, like production inputs. Now, as we are talking, we are in a plowing season. And I can tell you that they have not received production inputs now, seeds and other things. Now, when there is money allocated, more so around conditional grant, because when the department applies for conditional grant, it's because there is a need. And when they receive that conditional grant and it's not being spent, it's a problem. It's a problem. I think there ought to be a protracted kind of a way of making sure that really these conditional grants are spent. Because majority here, to be honest, if we go and do oversight out there, you will realize that, you will just see hunger working. And the majority of our people here depend on agriculture, but the department is not spending money which is there. What's more if there was no money? Yeah. But now there is money and nothing is being done. I think we ought to really zoom into that. Thank you, Chair.
Member Engelbrecht.
Chairperson, yes, I'd like to add to what the member said in terms of the conditional grants. The tragedy is that 2.7 million will be returned to Treasury because it wasn't spent. And I think that is an absolute sacrilege that is being returned to Treasury where it should have been spent and be given to the people sitting in front of us. And this is money that should have been spent and put back into our farmers, into the people that need that money. And I think that is an absolute sacrilege. And this province should be held accountable for that money. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honourable Member. Honourable Kanyane.
Yeah, ki chabori ke la ka leo ka hore ba uncoverile. Yeah, but just the clarity with the department. Ka hore ga le present 2021-22 financial year. I don't know whether it's a mistake. Because the 2021-22, we have dealt with it. I get if ka March, the financial year. So usually essentially 22-23, if I'm not wrong. I'm not sure which one, maybe to get the clarity. Yeah, I think that's what I wanted to find out, because if it's the annual report, it's much better. We're able to link it with the AG report, because the AG report is also annual. I think now they go together. That's the clarity that I wanted to sort, and I'm clarified. Because when you started by saying second quarter, I couldn't understand where does it really come from. But I'm happy that is the annual report. Now, if you look at the similarities, it's more on the underspending. And especially the MEC emphasized the issue of the underspending. And then I think it's a concern of the committee, where we can't really also condone the underspending. I mean, the department better overspend with reasons, we'll understand. I mean, there's this, under this poverty, the unemployment that is there, then you underspend. And I think that's a concern, it's a general concern. And then if you look at the department, it's like it's a recurring matter. If you look at all the years, it was like underspending. And I take it the MEC will make sure that moving forward, let's not underspend. Let's make sure that we really do the right thing to our people. I think that's the first one. But again, AAG, though we commend the department, especially for the irregular, fruitless expenditure, you can see that they did well in terms of the irregular but now this thing of the balance, I think we should not really take it very light. Because if it's a balance that is really carried over, at the end, it's going to impact badly to the department. Because the money also is increasing. So let's, maybe if you have any suggestions, because it can be that we have it there, and it has been there. If you look at the previous years, financially, it was just this balance. And this balance is denting the departments unnecessarily. It has really there should be a way that MEC is reinforced. We deal with this balance thing because it is really denting the department. Otherwise, we will leave it, it will be a problem. So let's get away how we deal with this thing so that we don't really leave it forever. Now, my last question is more practical. We visited, it's a chicken farm in Van der Velde Park. I want to check the level of dependency of these farmers. Because when we went there, she's doing well. She's supplying hospitals with eggs, with whatever. She's doing well. But she's still depending on the department. Maybe the department should assist us here. Because you can't have people who will be dependent forever. I mean, we need to assist other people. That one, you have assisted, and is supplying the hospitals, and even the Free State is supplying some of the hospitals. But she still wants more from the department. Maybe let's get it so that we are fair to our people, rather than just handouts, but without really checking whether people are growing or not. I think that's one issue that I picked up in the oversight. But the other one we visited is a cattle farming. And also it's a farmer in Randfontein. They supplied the tractor and the truck. When we went there, the tractor is still new, it never done anything. It was still standing. The truck, nothing. It was still new, just standing. I'm not sure how you monitor that, because otherwise it raises questions to the committee. Or how did he get it in the first place? I'm just putting there, I'm sure, I was trying to get the name of the farmer, Lebo. You remember the Randfontein? Yes, because the department should follow those things, because you don't want this wasteful, fruitless expenditure. You give people tractors, but they're just parked. It's not a good thing. But those are the comments from my side. But otherwise, the department has done well. If you look at in terms of the AG, and in terms of how they spend their money, and also the targets. I mean, if you are out of the 128, 99 targets achieved, I mean, 77%. I mean, it's a distinction. But I know you did well. We have to hold you. We can't really, we'll always hold you because we do oversight. Yeah, thanks, Chair.
No, thank you very much, honorable members, for your inputs. Yeah, I think department look really good. There's a concern by the portfolio committee on the underspending. And I think you also need to intensify on your public-private partnerships so that you can be able to achieve your targets, because I see there's a deficiency there in terms of your public-private partnerships with, programs to ensure that you achieve your targets. And we mentioned the environment, the Letsima campaign. I don't feel it, I don't see it. We don't feel the department in that aspect. And I think, Honorable Mpapa, yes, you talked about the targets. And the other issue that you raise, which is very important, it's the monitoring and evaluation of projects. Because there's no use putting money into a project and you don't monitor whether there's impact on the money that you have actually spent on the project. This is a public funds. We need to ensure that they are being used fruitfully and they derive the desired outcome. So I think those are things that you should note, and I'm sure we will have further engagements on those areas so that we achieve an improvement in those areas of deficiencies. I'm now going to open for our stakeholders to also make their inputs, their comments, questions. Let me just get a sense. Yeah, I did say earlier, you can use a language only comfortable Guyana. How do you want to follow them on their seats, or do you want them to come to the front? Because I want to note hands so that all the hands that are raised can come. Brainwave, because some people have they want to add. So I want people with original questions. Let me start that side. Hakobiza, just come to the phone. 1, 2 on the side. Come to the front. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on the side. Come. 1, 2, 3 on that side. Itla. Only those hands that I've noted, please come to the front. Mama, with the green, you can come. I noted you. Can we have the gadgets for interpretation for the members in front, please? So that the members can also hear the questions in case they're posed in a different language. Please, let's get the gadgets if there's still any. Okay, let's proceed. Short and to the point. Thank you.
Okay, good morning, everybody. My name is Musisi, we're from Butelezi. So I just have 3 questions. So one of the things that were mentioned here was that the government supports with production inputs and infrastructure. So I just wanted to understand the criteria that is used. I wanted to understand the processes that are there, the opportunities where they derived from. Are the people getting the proper exposure and information with these criteria? And the second one is that failure. Most of the failures that the Department of Agriculture that they are facing is due to non-responsiveness. So with that, I would like to say the tenders that we have tendered on from 3 years ago, every year that we are exposed to, we even don't get any response from the department, no any feedback. So I don't know if you're not getting response, we're also not getting any response. So the communication barrier with regards to that. And then the last thing is that farmers, another failure is because we as farmers fail because of our financial statements. But what is the government doing in terms of small scale farmers like us, where we actually use our personal funds and we don't have a track record of the last 3-5 years of financial statements? Thank you.
Thank you. Chair, I will start with the soft ones. First, the military veterans, which is one of my other communities, is not included in the employment stats as a designated group, although you have it on the procurement side. So the question is, why is it excluded for employment in the department? Number two, the issue environment. Some of us had raised it in the previous stakeholder engagement with the department and gave examples, for example, where I come from, in the Mid-Val, that around, we have a closed land site, and around the new development of Savannah, rubble is thrown all over. We are in the neighboring plots. And there was a commitment that the department was going to act on that, but I live there. There's nothing that is happening, as you raised, Chair. Number three, when you give us statistics that you have achieved 10% or 90%, what is the population? Because we are not sure the numbers and the population that you are presenting these achievements against. If you are saying 90% achieved, at least we should have information as to which entities or farmers had applied or requested assistance, and we get the numbers so that when we are presented that is a 94% achievement, we are able to say it's 94 correctly drawn against this. And lastly, from my cooperative, we have got serious issues. When we were given a tractor 10 years or so ago, we had a combined hectareage of about 70 hectares. And we have not had a replacement of that tractor and the implements. We have requested it several times. Our members have oftentimes applied and requested assistance with fencing over a period of more than 5 years, and that has not been coming. Some of us have decided to lift ourselves with our bootstrings to get into commercialization. We have diversified, we are growing grain and specifically sugar beans, where we have got over 50 hectares that we are that we are plowing. And we have gone out to source to get markets, which we have, but we don't get inputs. At the moment, we have been asking for fertilizer, seeds, and chemicals. And we are informed that on 2 occasions, our request has bounced because the department can only get 2 quotes, which means because there are only 2 quotations that are coming, this group, we will not get fertilizers. While the need is there, and we have proved that we need that assistance, are we simply going not to get assistance because you as a department has only managed to get quotations from 2 suppliers only? Which means that if there is no third quotation, then the farmers will have to suffer. We believe that there is, in the system, you have another way of dealing with the situation. We have even given the department the timelines that by the 27th of November, we envisage applying chemicals, meaning that we would have applied and dissed and then only left with planting. But today is the 12th, and we have got no response. And we saw that, no, if we're going to get the assistance, tell us. If we're not going to get the assistance with inputs, tell us, so that when we get into the season plowing, we know that we must expect nothing from the department.
Thank you. My name is John Maluleke. I am in Vet Hawk in Brakpan. I've been leasing a farm from Rural Development from 2015. And to date, I'm not yet in business. And basically, it's because when the department acquired the farm, there was a due diligence report which they did not follow. The story is long, But I'm hopeful that, well, since we met, the chief director, it seems maybe there is a light at the end of the channel. When I started this project, I was 69. Today, I am 77. I have spent the last time of my life trying to get that farm going. But because there is no input, I was given no inputs, I'm struggling to date. So I am appealing to the MEC. If he doesn't come, he can send any other person to come to the farm. I think the chief director has been there and he's shocked. The state where a government buy a scrap buildings and a scrap chickens that were about 2 years, they did not put any egg. But then the burning issue is that, well, no government will buy a farm without doing due diligence. It was done, and perfectly so. It was never, not even an inch, and we are struggling to date. I thank you.
Sanibonani. Igama lami umfanikhona Mabaso. Ngiphuma eWard 122. eSacra Park. Sibonga nje kubaphathi lana abakhulu ngokulima silima eSalin Farm. So lapha yana indawo belendawo leyana yayikhona yavandalizwa. So manje si struggling kakhulu too much. Sesibathe siyazama ayikho into esincedakala ngayo. And then okunye sine chicken farm, and then a chicken farm inkukhu zakhona sayiodile and asinandawo. So besacela ukuthi masathola indawo zithi mayifika lenkukhu sithola ukuthi sesinendawo zayo ngoba sesizamile sakhipha emapoketheni manje asanazo usizo lokuthi manje siyithole sikwazi ukuthi siqhubeke ngalo le farm sikwazi ukuthi kube nane the successfully khona abazokwazi ukuthi kubonakale umsebenzi uqhubela kuya phambili. Ngiyabonga.
Sanbonan, my name is Busiso Kumalo from Western area in Ward 17. My question is, I've got two questions. I want to know, because I grew up in a mining area, and Tina we can't access funding due to we are staying in a mining area. And then those mines, they have closed. In fact, they've demolished everything. So now, how about what about us, people who are staying in a mining area? Because when we go for funding, they will ask you a lease agreement and so forth and so forth. And all those things, Tina, we can't access them because the land is still under the mines. The very same mines that are not operating. So now, I want to know from MEC, please, in the Western area, we've got land, we've got everything, but we cannot access everything due to this thing of mining. And then secondly, sayibonga i-report yenu, but thina abantu base Western area ayisenzeli next before because we can't benefit anything due to this red tape of a mining town. Thank you.
Amanda! Viva Mbokoto, viva! MEC, kyalla. Kutlile bohloko ka tšhelete e kgutlisetswang morao. Ha ke nahana ka mokgwa ke struggling ka teng. Hore re tle re phele. Re kopanya tsona di 350 tsena. Le tsona ha diyo. Imagine a poultry farm with 11 sheds. L'unkutlisisa gore each sheds inka 6,000 ya dikgoho. Ka mona re etsa temo. Ha rena di-tunnel. Ha rena di-pesticide. Ha rena di-seeds. Ka mona Eskom o re emelletse ka electricity. Re sebedisa borehole A1. Neng ya robeha. Ha rena se kenang ka ha matlong a rona. Re lapile, bana ba rona ba fetohile ditsotsi ntate. Bana ba rona ke bo dinyaope. Bana ba rona ba banana ba matha le matswantle. Ba re ba lelekisitse tjhelete empa mmuso o ntshitse certificate hore tsamayang le lo etsa kgwebo. Ha ba re fa certificate seo ba re tsamaye re lo imaketa. Ra imaketa, what if ntate re imaketa le mo ho leng ronteng re qetelle re jowe. MEC ke tsatsi la Sidibeng Ward 7 ka jeno re tla ho wena re tlolla re fofonela bo millionaire mara ha re bo fihlelle ha re robale bomme le ka jeno ha re a robala re le bomme re matha le patlaka re lelekisa ditsotsi di a re utswetsa ba etsa mekhukhu ba qhaqholla dihoko tsa rona ba nka masenke ha re wa molelekisa o bolella fela re tlo nkatamela ke tlo o thunya so ra inehela sentse ke imaketa ona jwale re le Ward 7 bomme ka mola ka khumbing e re tlileng ka yona spinach-nyana se teng ka mono bana beso le tla le nne le reke re bona rena re tsamaya jwang re thola papanyana jwang ke a leboha.
Lochani. Sanbonani. Ya, Lochamela ngumama ubuya eMamelodi East. eTshwane. Mina ngingumama womkariso Women in Water. Mina ngingumama tini group yethu si clean ama bridge. Bese lapha ngapha emva kwama bridge bese siyalima. Sitshale imirogo, izipinishi yonke imihlobohlobo yemirorho. Uma seyivuthe bese siyayikha sisesikolweni sipha abantwana bekolo sokuphana bogogo abagulako siphinde sibavusele sibawashele thina siwumkariso. Khona manje siyalima ngalezi sikhathi lezi khona siqala ukulima ngoba besivinjezelwe icorona. Ses adopted ne youth 15 youth. I-youth ikhala ngendlala. Size sithatha imali yethu yomndende. Uma siqeda uhola umndende sikhipha omunye nomunye ugogo akhiphe 20 rand ukuthi abantwana bakwazi ukudla ngoba abantwana ngeke bayibambelele indlala. Sihambe singena ama-office sikokota sibawa istepensi hayi asisithola istepensi mhlali isitulo mucha kekana ngiyathokoza mama uzima usiphe wena mhlambi into zizokutshintsha ungena ama-office nama-office bahlala ngema-office nabenzi lutho abasinaki uma i-SARS ifile uthi yokuvuselela bathi yenze emoyeni uthi ngiyoyenza kanjani mina phela ngisengimdala ngifundanga ngine 74 years ngenze njani bathi asikwazi ukunipha istepensi ngoba nina anenzangi i-SARS manje nje sihleli abantwana baphethwe indlala ebile abantwana basingalile babalekile sisebenza kabuhlungu namanzi asinawo yosidosa kanzima sibogogo neTshwane ifikile lapha yemba lapha sithola khona amanzi imort namaswirishi nawo ayavuza khona la yo mama iseMamelodi uzobona imhlolo usatsho uthi modlula ngeGautrain ubona imihlolo iseMamelodi East uzobona imhlolo iTshwane ukuthi isiphethe njani siyahlupheka mama ene sibogogo silwela ukuthi sitshintshe iMamelodi le ibe ngcono sibutha abantwana sibakhiphe kubunyawupe sibakhiphe emadayisini nemakaradeni abantwana sibafundisa ukulima abantwana bathi thina ngeke silime ngendlala sithi ake sikimeke sibogogo siyogogota hawu bayasilandulela bathi anina-SARS sithi manje senze njani bathi bhalani emoyeni sobhala kanjani emoyeni thina siyange esikolweni ngiyabonga mama mkekana yo uNkulunkulu akhulise mntanami ufike eMamelodi.
Dumelang bomme le bontate. Nna ke David Ramusunya. Ke tswa ke le ko plot 83 Eikenhof. Ne re sebetsa femeng ya plotong ya feme ya dikgoho. E kwetswe feme eo. Ha ba tshela mosebetsi batho. Ba re sile fela polasing eo. Ba re le tla ipona re le tla ya kae. Jwale re tlolla je ka ke le mona hore re kopa thuso. Dihoko tsena di empty hodima di le empty jwalo ho ntso utsuwa masenke. Re kopa thuso ho mmuso. Nna hobane ebile se bile ke le moholo ke kgola pension fela ke llela bana ba sa sebetseng. Re kopa thuso hona tjena dihoko tseo tse di leng teng ha di na dikgoho. Re kopa dikgoho di kenye. Ya bobedi re sebedisa tanka motjhini o i-1 o pompa metsi. Ne re kopa hore o teng o mong o ntso le spare o batlang ho lokiswa le ona o lokiswe metsi a be mangata. Le ditanka tsa metsi di a shota. Ha rena ditanka tse enough. Jwale hape e nngwe taba e re batlang ke ya ditrekere di tlo re thusa ho lema hobane ploto ena e re dulang ho yona e kgolo haholo. Ka matsoho ha re no loka. Re kopa ditrekere bomme le bontate. Ke fella hona moo. Dankie.
Dumelang kaofela mo ntlong. Nna lebitso la ka ke Nomvuyo from organization ba re ke Women in Agriculture and Rural Development ko Gauteng. Mama MEC labo mama ngaphambili bonke. Mina ngibuye Alexander nguzalo ngihlele Alexander. Nawukhuluma ngeAlex ngiyayazi inyakanyaka. And I'm telling you, you can never leave anything kuyinsimbi. Noba available kangakanani, they take it. Iyahamba iyokaliswa. I remember mina ngithengisa ama-live chickens. So ngibeke ilanto le insimbi, la siphusha khona into yethu. They took it within a minute. Ngagijima ngaye ezikalini zonke, I could not get it. So I don't know, Department of Environment, can't they limit lama buyback centers or lama recycling, because there are just too many. There are just too many. Another thing, Seger boss, kune property government, and they keep easy different. Good number TikTok. I'm not sure whether siyawazi na. They were meant for abantu abenza recycling, because some of them, they're written recycling, some of them they're not even marked, but they are new and old, zidliwa ilanga. And kunabo mama baningi la who are doing vegetables kuma garden. Can't we get lama TikToks anikezwe abo mama ukuthi bafake lama vegetables wabo uma befuna ukuyothengisa? It will make life yabo easy. Because ayavuleka. Then umama nayipakishile izinto zakhe uyathengisa ntambama uyavala. Instead ukuthi zidliwe ilanga, the way kungakhona. Siyabonga. iphelela lapho yena.
Molweni. Ninjani? Igama lam ndingubusisiwe Nkwanyana from Dobsonville. And the community worker yase Dobsonville and ndikuwadi futhi. I-woman in agriculture. Ziningi lezinto. Ndiku Region C, food resilience. Is social, from social, city of Joburg. I've got many caps in me, but basically, agriculture. Nfundisa ne youth agriculture and mentora youth voluntarily so. But now I think I address this to my government to say to the legislature, Uguti. We've been working for quite a long time, singama farmers, sisogola working under the sun. But again, it's so sad. Umama phumapha onxibe impahla ezigreen. Sometimes abantu ngiyabeva bayahleka because mhlambe they don't understand how deep is the pain esisebenza under yona. Uthi ungumfama usebenza pha ilanga liyashisa, then ize i-drought bese kuyasha konke or kuze istorm nehail zishe zonke bese ubuyela back uyaqalela phansi awuna nix ngelo xesha eneke ngoku nabantwana abajongile. So yizo izimeko esisebenza under zona bese ke kuba khona lanto ethi when elephants fight the grass suffers. Leyo iyangithinta kakhulu ngoba the other time there was a budget uyazi yangichukumisa indaba ye budget ezawuthi thethwa apha thiwe ibuyela emuva. Ibuyela kanjani imali emuva sikhona thina singama farmers. Mina mangiza uqasha umuntu ngithi makasebenze bese ke angixelele ukuthi akasebenzanga for I percentage ethize. That person kusho ukuthi mele akawazi umsebenzi wakhe. So kusho ukuthi fanele kuqashwe abanye abazawusebenza bayenze kahle ukuthi iagriculture iyakhushulwa. Yazi yini kuthiwa there's no urban agriculture. Kuthiwa njalo mase bathatha imali bayibuyisele emuva but ayikho urban agriculture. We are there. We don't have to take back imali because you don't monitor, you don't do your job. Bese ke bathi ke na futhi bathi ama tractor awasebenzi ama tractor yenzeni because they give abantu abangena passion izinto. They give izinto ama resources wethu abelonga kithi. Ama resources abelonga kithi anikezwa izihlobo nabangani abangazi next. That is why failure in agriculture. That is why all the departments are failing. It's because of that. Mngazubani, ndaziwa ubani. Maungazi mtanye kutole next. Okay, ngicela ukuthi ngibuyele kule ya budget ekhulunywayo. Yes, ngexesha la kusasa uPaxtown MEC we agriculture parks. Wa initiator a project. That project kwakufanele ukuthi empower is all the Sowetans or all the farmers. And it empower even nabenzi sowing nabayenza bakery. Ama lentuzana mile ngithetha nje mina kweyami ward apho ngikhona bakery mile ayisebenzi, but it has got all the resources, all the facilities. Why? Because of dirty politics. Akukuthi ezo politiki zibulala thina laphansi bona badla kamnandi phezulu abasinaki bese bathi imali ibuyele emuva. Ibuyela kanjani imali emuva uqashiwe ukuthi unikeze ama farmers? Iqiniso fanele liphume manje and mina ngama ilanga lonke I don't get anything mina. Because ubusise uyaziwa ukuthi ukhuluma kakhulu iphepha lakhe application yakhe izawushiftelwa eceleni bathi lo bamsabotage. Anginandaba whether you sabotage me or you don't, but I'll remain a farmer and I'll plant the seed ye farming with the youth. Amen. Kulondawo. So ke angaqedi bhutwami. This is the platform the ngimele le. This is the platform bengiyimele. I've got women la abagcwele abangazange balale abavukile ekseni but beza bezela ukuthi bazokhuluma ngoba really you are failing us guys. You are failing us. Mawuzoma uthi imali buyele emuva kanjani? Mina would be ashamed to say that. Ukuthi just because mina ngiyahola. So I don't care about the next person. We've got farmers. We've got farmers. We have farmers tina eGauteng, wherever lasikhona, but we are farmers. And we don't beg. We are not beggars. We are not beggars. We give you seed. Unikeze umakhelwane aplante noma le akumele ukuthi manje sekuthiwa sekhona seedless potatoes or seedless pumpkins and what naleyo sisazoyilwa ngoba siyalinyazwa sifakelwa white genetics basibiza ngesilungu lezi ezisibulalayo ziya injectwa nezinkukhu ziya injectwa sikuletha inkukhu zaseBrazil kuthiwe akuna market, whereas we are here as farmers. Ama-farmers aye nenkukhu mara inkukhu zakhona zithengwa kulandwa inkukhu eBrazil. Why ufanele kulandwa inkukhu eBrazil kukhona ama-farmers? So yeah, ngiseza kule eyaka Parkstar. Then what happened guys? Ne njengoba ngisho eWard 48 eyethu what? Kune baker imile ngemali ngama-tax wethu. Ayimile le baker because of what? Of dirty politics. Ngoba when elephants fight, the grass suffers. Tina yiyo le grass le esafarayo. Mina ngiyekele ilentuzana umsebenzi. Ngangithole ilentuzana umsebenzi bengenza njengoba ngithi ngiyavolunteer. Bengivolunteera nasesikolweni. Ngiphuma ku-SGB, ngiphuma kuzo zonke. Ngangenza part-time teaching. So then makumele ukuthi ngisayine ngithola umsebenzi ngayo for interview makumele ngithola nayi yavela le project aka Parkstar. Sasixelelwa senza ama calculations kuthiwa 6.5 million yangena i-6.5 million kufanele ukuthi siqhubeke ngama project. Yes, mini project yami kwakwe mushroom. I was the one who proposed mushroom, and I know good why I proposed mushroom, because mushroom, number one, you don't work hard. Number two to 3 weeks you harvest. So leyo mina in my mindset bekukuthi sizo empower all the farmers. So yeah, I propose it. We sit of Joburg, food resilience. Elements. Then thank you, my comrades. Thank you. Mele siphumela si right, sigezekile. And masiphumela legislature khona nomunye umthetho. Angithi umthetho siyenza la legislature. Kwenzakaleni ningasasibizi kuma portfolio meetings. Kwenzakaleni ningasasibizi kuma amendment bill. Sekwenzakalani nizenza nodwa nisasibizi. Today is the platform. Cela ukubuza ukuthi why ningasasibizi. We want sifuna ukuthi le mithetho le amendwe iqedwe. Yes. Lalelani ke ngithi mina ke na guys. Ilentuzana mushroom project yaqedwa because of what? Politics. Mabelo abalwa ngathi. Mara masivota kahle. Angithi bese nasebelwa sobalaya because ekungena ubani. Yekelani ukwenza njalo sebenzelana umphakathi. Sisebenzeleni and engage us. Engage us because we know. Yabona mina I'll tell you something. Lama station officers laba waqashayo was next. Babuza kithi bafundiswa yithi. Yazi makumele ukuthi umuntu akuchazele ukuthi ilentuzana yini ama crops yini intontoni angithi baphuma le ncwadini abazi nokwazi ukuthi what is ilentuzana ilumi soil, sandy soil and clay soil. You need to teach them, and I teach them mahala. I'm tired manje ngifuna ugovernment angibhadala. Okay, sisaselapho. Hayi, ningaqhwabi, nizaqhwaba mangiqeda. Iningi sisinomvuyo. This is the platform sisekumele sikhuluma. Noma singathiwa siyalala, sivuke ekseni sibuyela khona, sizawulala. Angithi siya campaign asilale sibala ama votes. Ukhathela ubali. Today sizawulala la. Ngikhuluma iqiniso. Okay, asizeni kuleya ndaba leyo. eyokuthi makuthatha ulentuzana uMEC or ubanibani why bangaqhubeki angithi kune handover mhlawumbe angisazi isingesi kodwa mina ngazi ukuthi kune handover and makaqeda handover mawubusi etholile ku handover mele aqhubeke la agcine khona ubhuti but ngizakutshela into abayenzayo bavele bathatha balaqelele kungena omunyathi umuntu mina bengekho lapho kodwa thina mele siphinde siqalele phansi so ke indlela okusetshenzwa ngayo fanele ukuthi ilungiswe honorable ichintshwe ngoba now we are left with only 2 years mina kule 2 years ngicela ukuthi ngibe ngiachieve something ku agriculture before kuthatha another party or but 2020 come 2024 ngicela ukuthi kubonakala ukuthi njengoba sila sitholana and ngiyacela kuwe siswami ngicela ukuthi le report le osinikeze yona wasitshela ngama percentage ukuthi how many percent and whatsoever sicela ukuthi ngicela ukupropose ukubuya sisi bazosibonisa bonke labantu ababancedile le report abayishoyo basitshengise bona siyacela sikhathele okay ke ngicela ukuthi ngisho ke izihlobo ezinhle enkosini ukuthi ubusisiwe uGertrude Nkwanyana sikuwati sikuwoman in agriculture kudala sikhona kule woman in agriculture nayo makumele ilungiswe singaloku sifaka izinto under the carpet ngoba imali yangena la ingene lephezulu iphathwa bobani the next thing bangale kungayenzeki next umuntu athaqhoshe athi mina ngisebenzele abafazi kodwa umenye igama labafazi nayazi leyo nto mina nginandaba noma bangangidubula kusasa naye uzofa angidubula namsasa naye uzolandela hayi iqiniso sisinomvuyo mele sithethe inyani this is the platform to speak dala sikhona kuward kuwoman in agriculture igalelwa le mali banikezwe inkomo banikezwe imbuzi banikezwa ini mabaqeda thina singatholi nix mabaqeda bawazi kumakithi bazosikhoshela bashela ukuthi bona basebenzeli abanye abantu abafazi basebenzela bona ngegama labo bani ngabobani so ke lezo zinto kumele ukuthi silungiswe legislature yokuthi silungise ngiseza ke ngicedile lapho iqhubeka nini project yethu le eye mushroom ngicela ukuthi siyibuyisele ngoba izo empower women youth people with disability izo empower wonke umuntu imisebenzi izovela mina I'll monitor that ngoba ngiyayazi ukuthi isukaphi yilento yokuthi mawuza ne concept bese bayayithatha bayinikeza omunye umuntu ongayazi bese yena ayayimesa phadla imali danki ngiyabonga kulondawo ngicela umthetho wokugcina the last but not least umthetho wokugcina ngicela ukuthi uqedwe ngicela ukuthi senze amendment bill can I just propose amendment bill le age 18 to 35 umsangano leyo nto ngoba abantwana from 36 years nithi benze njani kuthiwa mabenze njani that's why abantwana badlinya uphe mos ngoba bafundile labantwana but makathe 35 years akasaqashwa ndawo akasenzi nix aqala ibusiness bese le imali bayazidla yehla ngomlenze imali ingafiki kuthi so nithi kwenze njani mabadlinya uphe ngicela ukupropose sibuye la sizoyenza iproject eyokuthi labantwana sibakhipha kanjani kunyawuphe angeke size sokusibhizi sikhala senzani okay enye futhi mama nawa amafem avaliwe ama-foreigners abhizi ayenza izinto ezi-wrong kulama-fem amafem wethu lawo savota thina 1994 kwakuwabogogo bevota bona bayafika nje badla kamnandi eSouth Africa ngicela lama-fem lawa siwayutilizele mina nelento negroup yami senza i-agro processing sibaningi la and this agro processing ngicela ukunitshela iphakama kanje mara kudliwa le imali lezi ngathi ukuthi thina agro processing abasenzeli next ngoba icriteria sejamalento into ezifunekayo lapha yana angeke ikhishi la khona stainless steel icaphele le stainless steel nami ngiyahlule kulithenga bafuna isinki ye stainless steel ifridge ye stainless steel itafula le stainless steel iroom elikhulu eline aircon elinantontoni mara ngilithola uzolithola so yini red tape yokuthi sabotage kuloku kubhizi ukuthi thengisa abo Tiger brand angithi So liphi igama lokuthi black empowerment likuphi? So ngicela ukubuza ukuthi le mali ejikile angeke isincede sithenga ama stainless steel cupboard, sithenga ama stainless steel zonke izinto sisebenzeni. So ke besicela ukuthi sisebenze njengoba size la. Ngiyabonga. Thank you. So bengicela kancane. Man. Sanungama. Ngicela i-time frame. Sicela i-time frame from now on ukuthi kulama proposals esiwayenzile. Masibuya sifuna ukwazi ukuthi ABC kwenziwani. Abomama banikezwa ama project. Bebenikezwa ama project ihlazelela South Africa. Banikezwa ama project abomama ukuthi bathungele ikolo. The next thing sekunikezwa ama foreigners ukuthi mawathungele ikolo. Thina sikhona. Hayi man suka. Thank you ngiyabonga.
Okay, thank you very much. I think the next speaker and opportunity.
Nginibingele nonke uChris Dlamini lokhulumayo from SSD Foods. Ngitiye agro processing nami. Ngiyasupplya, I'm a small scale farmer, but i-challenge engibhekene nayo or esibhekene nawo sabantu abamnyama umhlaba. Ngisuka eWestern Areas ePakom. Kune issue khona ngazi noma imina kuphela engaffectayo. Uhulumeni unomhlaba uthi mawubuza ukuthi lalento vacant wabani kuthiwa wa government nomasipala. Uthi usa-checka lokho 3 years down the line usubona ama-developers la akha ama-properties aseyakha. Kuye manje kunomngane wami onenkomo eziwu-17 ziphelwa indawo okudla because abelungu lapha sebeyakha bakha ama-flats bakha everything. All this land of vacant uthi awucheck ukuthi why sawuthengwe ikhampani ethize seyiyakha khona. Whereas asinayo imali yokuthenga ama-farms nalawa government athi uyawalisa ama-farms mancane and amanye awo ama-farms mawubheka i-soil quality yakhona namanzi selifile lawo ama-farms lawana. Ukuwa-revamp it will cost a lot of money. 2, lapha eWestern Area inkinga esibhekene nayo imayini abafuni sivule ama-borehole. And all those farms are laphana, ama-small holding farms, arana ama-project ngamanzi amasipala. And you can't do that as a farm ukurana alento amanzi ngamanzi amasipala. Uzorana kanjani plus? Mawuthi uvula i-borehole but no, we are not allowed. There's a mine on top there. It's not allowed because there's a hole underneath. You see? Asa integration iyona ephuwa kuma-departments ethu. Because umasipala ukhuluma language. My Department of Agriculture and Land Affairs bakhuluma language. So ugcina so contract so lento so didekela ukuthi fanele wenze kanjani. Asinawo umhlaba, that's the issue. Mawuya ufuna ama-market amakhulu food lovers bafuna massive production. Akwazi ukusupply food lovers ngo4 hectares wespinach. We are limited and i-department iyahluleka ukusisiza kuloma issues. Ngiyabonga.
Dumelang balimi, leadership, officers, we thank you. MEC, I thank you to see you here amongst us. And then what I appreciate is for previous, when you were in sports. I still remember my photo with you. And I still say, keep on doing that. We welcome you. But we don't welcome you just to sit. We want you to do the very same thing that you have done in the sports. We are all out there for us. I'm Philip Mohopudi from Chief Mohale Kagiso, Phase 2, West Rand, Mohale City. Halala. We've got the advantage that we have done Runa Batuba Lekhatu event management. We already like event management. What's Evalene? Why? Because event management, because it's very everything. Amen. So from there,
what we did, re tsere advantage. Ha rena lefatshe. Wherever you go, ba re ha hona lefatshe. But he o tlo shebella our foreigners, ba beile di hardware, mo thoko ha mekhukhu ya bona. Ba dirile di scrap yard, but there is no land. It's our problem. MEC, you know our place there. Go na le di hardware, all away. But when we come into area shebeletseng rena ya fighting for poverty, hairi thusi ka sepe, because those people will never enter because ba tla ba tsamaya, and then ba occupy the spaces. So ke tlo bua ka ntho tse two fela and then be ke tsamaya. Ke occupy the space, and I'm busy with the other spaces, the dumping areas. We are so busy with the dumping areas to promote them to be a living place. Re etsang ko teng, climate change, we are busy with. Re jwala ditlhare ko teng. And then we put some more training for the people to care about the trees in the climate changes. There's where now we can promote our empty spaces, and then no more dumping, as our chairperson was saying about the dumping. The dumping days to again, rena le di dustbin, but hare la tlhele di ka mo di dustbin. Rena le di nja hare di kenye ka mo tlase a lefatshe ra di boloka as re di rata. Thank you. And then as I was saying, re tsere advantage. Re tsere advantage ya go tseya the stream. Rena le the stream go kagiso kwale. A se sa motho because ra tseba hore ne bomkosi ba ka se tlo berekela ko sone, so re lema ko sone. So our challenge ko re lemang ko teng ko re metsi a teng a na le di chemicals tsa mine, so re ka se berekise metsi ao. And then secondly hape se re na le a problem ya sone ke ho lema, re ka se leme only summer, and then where else re lwana le a poverty. And then the cities are in. So then when summer comes, go agriculture recopa happy the city again. So we are people, we need to think smart. So Rena Rebata Holema through all the year. And to Horeleme through all the year, go Renele ing lidi boreholes. Arena source of water. Rebata Medzi. Repayle, ke kopa re litse gore repayle, mara ra etsa mekhukhu, re a lema, re fighta eng a poverty. Repayle because of poverty. Thank you. And then the other thing is, hona mo, re na le a problem hape ya gore ba e leng gore bone ba bona go le betere gore ba tlo ja se leng sa bone se seng sa bone. You see, now is the third. Fencing is very important for that. The last thing I give batlang go lebolela yone le rena ra imarket hele ka ya go kagiso le tla kriya rona ba re mo thoko ga le tsamole. Re na le spinach, re na le carrots, re na le everything for now because of what? For rain. But for winter we don't expect that because arena mates. So to market ourselves, we say, let's continue doing this and then raise and renele a market. Recopa market, MSC. Aritile hokopa market wa dilo tsa rena, aritlo ho lemela hore ne raja. Charity itingi, and then charity in a lady home-based case, in a lady NGOs and MPOs. We are not that. Rona, we are there to make a money. So that the Kausa and Rona be proud of ourselves. We but one day there will be a plot. One day there will be a farm. Where now they will see that these people banally a potential. We start there because transformation starts small again. So we start there, Komolapo, but we want to see ourselves somewhere. And then we want to see ourselves. Renale market. Let's see the cars battle kwale batlo reka komolapo. Ne? This thing ya hore dilo di tsewa ko kae, di tsewa ko kae, di tsewa ko kae. Now is about a time for Kagiso. Okay, ke bolela Kagiso. Ke bolela Kagiso. We are no more going to see the cars this or any other site, Batisa, Kodi Pick and Pay, Checkers and Hyper and whatever. Where else we are there and then repay and then answer poverty. MEC, I hope we swear. We thank you so much. Chairperson.
Good afternoon, everyone. Lebitso la ka ke Thapelo Mokoena. Ke hlakile ko Ward 86 ko Nigel next to Sparvater. So what is happening ke hore re na le about 3,000 kettles le dikgomo ke dikgomo tseo le dikolobe le chickens. We've got about 20 cooperatives there. So now the land and reform ba reketse lefatshe. Ba reketse about 2,000 hectares. They gave us the forms, 1 hectare, 1 plot. So they're supposed to develop for us 2 years back before COVID, and nothing happened. Now, now there's politics more, but EFF, but according to my knowledge, that land was bought for farmers. So nothing is happening on that land. So nekikupa tuso ya haure. Hobane follow up on that land so that already 3,000 cattle mole feedlot, because we were given some forms, 1 hectare, 1 plot. And that project has been standing now for 3 years. And secondly, the homes that 3,000, how na meeti mole, how na electricity mole, the homes that dinal tamong mole, and hale feta alona mole liya mabakeng alona, the homes that stop at the college alona, because even if you can come, it's about to do. So my plea was to follow up on that 2,000 hectares, because 1.5 500 ifile bali said 1.5 ifile runa. So that thing's been on hold. So I try to email about bago mo Pretoria mo on this other side. As Anki totally respond, but chinchilles bali go ahead field. Please, ke ne ke kopa thuso.
Tobela le kae rona MEC le kae ape nna ke tlo bolela youth mo ke le mo ka re ke a bona gore majority ka mo ke batho ba baholo, ene ke leboa e batho ba baholo ba re file monyetla gore ba re rute ka farming, ba rute ka environment. Nna ke nna Tshepo Mantsho, ke jwa ke le ka mo Mamelodi East, ke ka mo Umkariso Youth in Action, which is a division of Umkariso Women in Water. So boko ko ba re tsere ba re botse gore go na le tsela ka mo farming ka mo, learn how to farm, because if o kgona go bealela dijo tsa gago o ka se bolae ke tlala. So o na le tse dintšhi ba sa di bolelang, o na le tse dintšhi bo magogo ba sa di bolelang. Re na le gardenyana e le goreng be ba isitse ba e thomile, bjanong ba e thomile bjao bokoko ba sokola ka dilo tša o nošetša, dilo tša dimoma o di a fase mo e le goreng e ba humana metsi ba o tšea ko nokeng, ande go nokeng bo magogo a ba kgone go sepela go nokeng. Tshwantse rena as baswa re yana kwa nokeng re bagele metsi re ba tlišetše ona, ande noka yona a solo re mo gauso ne re a tsamaya re eta meedi ewe ra ga metsi. So bokoko ba nyaka borehole, ba tlhoka borehole, ba tlhoka fencing, cause dilo tša rena di a protectiwa, di no bulia di mo molaleng. Motho mang le mang a ka no fihla a ga a tsamaya a di a se a bona gore o di yang ka sona. Dilo tša o tshwana le tše like Saturday ke kgopela gore department nke ka kgona gore e didie ana ko plekeng tša rena, cause ka mo ke di hoteleng a ona farm lo ka tšwa mo ka se humane farm. a ba di diele go gausu ko re leng gona mo le reng MEC o tla feta ra o bontšha ra re mola go shota 1 2 3 mola go shota 1 2 3 ene ke sure batho ba ba leng ka mo a ba felela ko Mamelodi ke sure o na le thousands ya batho ba ile reng ba busy ka dilo tše mara a ba kgone go tlo bolela le lena ka lebaka la gore le ba tliša ka mo lefelong le le lennyane mo le reng o na le diholo tša nna mo le tla bolelang le bona gona le ba kongwe la kwa mathata a ona le kwa le la kwa mathata a ona e ke tlo bolelang ka yona ke ya chairperson a boletseng ka yona which is ya environment ke nagana gore tshwanetse re gatelele taba ya environment because la e bona global warming e tlile ka maatla and le gona farming la tseba gore e tsamaišana le dipula dipula di sane dimela di a hwa pula ena kudu o na le dimela tše dingwe a di nyake metsi a mantši so tshwanetse re tlhokomele environment ya rena so that dilo tša go tshwana le tšana tšewe go ya pele e re lema re se ka hlaela ke dilo tša go tshwana le tšeo so youth ya rena ka mokgwa bokoko ba bošetši ba boletše ba re kolomaka dinoka mo ile rotetše dipampiri diplastic dilo tša go tshwana le tšana tšewe mo ile reng dinoka tše dingwe šetše di thibeile metsi a ema ene la tseba gore metsi a eme o thoma malwetši a bo malaria bo dinyeng so be re kgopela gore le ka re thuša mo tabeng ya gore re die sustainable development and sustainable solution mo ile reng dilo tša go tshwana le tšewe re nyaka gore re recycla dipampiri tšewe re kgone go dia dilo tša go tshwana le bo dieta bo dilo tša go tshwana le lori di-furniture tšeo le tša go tshwana le jana tšewe metšhini ewe e tura kudu ka tsela e le reng le rena ka mo le re ka thakantšha se re se tshwereng re ka se kgone e reka mara department e bušetša tšhelete morago ke yona re llelang mataere a fišiwa letšatši ka letšatši ka maria dilo tšedu ke tsona tše ile goreng di affecta climate ya rena ke yona ntho ile gore di-environmental issues re tšeeng le riše China re o ithuta ka dilo tša gore re tšhentšha bjang letaere lela re le die polish re tšhentšha bjang letaere lela re le die seeta be kgopela gore batho ba ka mo o na le ba bantši se ba e kgone go ithutela pele se ba tšwetše dithuto tša bona pele department di a buang gore e tle ko di-community tša rena ke ra gore township tša rena gore di rute batho ba bangwe ke sure gore di-enterprise tše ba di botšeng dilo tšeo ba di buletše ke batho and le ka no re tšhelete le ba fang yona tša le gore ba di tiele batho bana ba le bataba diang ba ba gogolela tšhelete ela be ke nyako go botšiša gore le boletše karolo di ya farming fashionable be ke botšiša gore ka tsela e buang le to e dia ka tsela e buang gore e be fashionable ye nngwe ya bobedi gore le tlo di ya buang gore baswa ba tsenelele mo ntweng ya farming le ona gore ba tlhokomele environment ka ge šetše le boletše dipoelo tša lena di a kgatlhiša mo e le goreng baswa ba participator basadi le bona ba participator mara o tšwela pele ga yona tabiwe gore le tlo ba thuša bjang gore baswa ba re kgone go bula di-enterprise cause ra recycla re iša ko ngwe di ya ko makgoweng makgowa ale a tšhentšha ka mokgwa diang a dia tšhelete rena yane la re e tshwereng re dio dia se sennyane nambile ya fela ra topa dipampiri tše pedi ra iša kwa nambile ya fela so le rena re nyaka go bula di-enterprise tšewe tša go tšhentšha diplastiki tšewe mabetlele auwe magalase anauwe dilo tša go tshwana le dipampiri tšewe gore di-tray tša mae tše ba di diang tšewe ba di dia ka pampiri e le gore e recyclilwe re nna re nyako go dia gore re kgone go ketiela di-tray tšewe tša mae gore batho ba ba diang di-poultry le dilo tša go tshwana le tšewe re kgone gore re reke ka mola le bona ba te ba reke ka mo ke a leboga
Thank you very much for all the questions, the comments, and all the inputs. Tse le di rileng. Ke tshepa gore department e kwele ka tsebe tse pedi. And I think they've been taking some of your details so that they can make follow-ups, especially where there are issues tse tshwantseng di saliwe morago, akere? So, ke tshepa hore this is a beginning of our long-term relationship, le lona as our stakeholders. Somebody raised the issue ya hore ba invite you, ha hona le di amendment bills, le di portfolio committee meetings and so on and so on. This is what we are supposed to be doing as the portfolio committee, and I want to promise you hore henceforth, if there's a bill which needs amendment, as stakeholders, you should be there, participate in the amendment, let's say the input and the comments. And some of our portfolio committee meetings where we meet the department, you should be invited, some of you. We can't invite everybody, but we will see how we work around it so that you become part of our oversight mechanisms. So I think hona le dilonyana tse leng hore re ka di lokisa ho ya ko pele as a portfolio committee working together with yourselves. But the last speaker o buile ka hore meeting o ye ko di community eo ke imbizo. Akere ke tshepa hore maybe MEC o tla bua ka yona because ke dilo tsa government tseo. Rena we are in the legislature, we playing oversight. So ke tshepa hore in their interesano programs they should be able to reach a bigger audience mphakathi ko holong ya ko Mamelodi East kai, so that because they are making decisions they will be able to make those promises after they have worked with the department to see what is feasible. So right now we can't promise anything to anybody. We are holding them accountable to make sure that whatever they said they are going to do, they do it indeed. Okay. So ke kopa re tlhaloganyeng re be le that distinction ya hore le na you are chosen stakeholders for a certain purpose to do oversight as well. Department, there are questions that have been submitted to you by the portfolio committee. We expected the responses to those questions yesterday. Unfortunately, we have not received those responses. I am going to request that you do present, you send those responses in writing by end of business today. I was going to give you an opportunity to present those questions, but I would rather have them on a written format first so that we can have a look at them, because we still need to go through them as a portfolio committee and see if we can, there are no follow-up questions on the responses that you're going to provide. So please make sure that we receive those responses. So Kase Sebaka, I'm going to give you an opportunity to respond to all the issues that have been raised by our stakeholders. Just respond, and thereafter, immediately after the responses, you can then go on to make a presentation on the second quarter report for the 2022-2023 financial year. Over to you, HOD. Thereafter, MEC Utlatswalla, she will give a summary after you have responded. Even after the second quarter report, she will make a comment. Thank you.
Dumela, ninjani. Ke kopa ho leboha sebaka se Honorable Chairperson and Honorable Members. Ke dumedise MEC wa rona, MEC Mbali Hlophe. Ke dumedise my colleagues and everybody else. Re leboha the questions and comments which have been made both by the portfolio committee but also the AG who's now left, and also our stakeholders. Chairperson, ke kopa hore ke thome ka hore the issues which have been raised are very important issues and are very critical issues. And some of the issues that have been raised, MEC herself has raised those issues with herself. The issue of underspending which has been raised over and over again, is an issue which is very top of mind to ourselves in the department, and it's a matter that we're dealing with. I think what I wanted to point out, though, is that there seems to be an impression that when we talk about underspending and the fact that the money has gone back, I think the impression is that money has gone back and that money has gone back. But the point of the matter is that high money hara spend tšhelete kaofela for a particular financial year. Indeed, the money goes back at the end of the financial year. However, we get given an opportunity for us to then make a presentation, for us to get the money back in the next financial year. So, when Mesamu was doing the presentation, she did indicate that some of the underspending or some of the monies that were not spent were because of the fact that there had been some procurement which had been done by the department, but at the time of closing of the books, the goods had not been received by the department, and therefore when we closed the books, because we would not have paid for those goods, that money would then be declared as money which had not been spent because we would not have spent it at the time. However, because the money would have been committed, in the next financial year, we're then able to ask for the money to be to be rolled over to ourselves, and the money does get rolled over, although it might be that not all the money gets rolled over, but a substantial amount of money does get rolled over. I'm explaining this not to say that we are not taking into consideration, Honorable Chairperson, the point that has been made that underspending is bad. And it's a matter, as I was saying, that MEC has also made very clear to ourselves. And indeed, we are going to be ensuring that there is no money which is underspent. MEC has, in her remarks, indicated that we have been given priority areas by the new Premier. And those priority areas being fighting hunger, issues of substance abuse, which have also been mentioned in this session, issues of homelessness, but also issues of environmental sustainabilities. And we've been told that we need to massify in everything we do. So we are busy, as it is, designing plans so that we're then able to massify in everything that we do. And we can assure everybody that as a result of the massification and the programs we are going to be doing, there is really not going to be any underspending. So the money is going to be utilized for the purposes that it is intended. I also thought that it was important that we speak to the issues of environment, which have been mentioned both by the Honorable Chairperson, by other honorable members, but also by our stakeholders. And it's true that we've got very serious issues of debt in our areas. What I do want to say is that this is an area where we need to all hold hands and deal with the issues of the debt that we find in our areas. I think you will agree with me that when we are in our areas where we live, instead of us taking the debt, anywhere where we can. and that you find in our areas, particularly as black people, and particularly as black people. Rilata doti fela, where we're not supposed to be disposing of the dead. Sometimes, in fact, not sometimes, oftentimes, you find that we're in taxis or in cars. Harifitla in our black townships, it's very easy for us to open the fasterazaruna, rilatlele doti, instead of ensuring that rilatlela doti, more the dustbinning that we get given by our municipalities. So the truth of the situation is that municipalities are the ones that must deal with cleanliness in the townships and not the department. What the department's responsibility is in that regard is to support the municipalities, and we have supported the municipalities. We've got a program in our department which is called Buntle ke Botho. So we go into townships, into areas, into informal settlements where we assist municipalities to clean the areas, some of the dumping site, illegal dumping site, where we find that our communities just dispose of waste illegally in dumping areas. What we do is we do go to those areas, we clean those areas, and we try to convert those areas into whether it's a food garden or it's a recreational center. And in some areas where we've tried to do that, so there's an area that we went to, I think it was in Sidibeng, or in the West Rand, one of the two areas. The department went into a dumping site. We turned that dumping site into a recreational facility. Rakenya the gym, dilo tsa gyma, dilo tsa bana tsa ho bapala. The next week when we went, ha re fitla dilo tse re fitlileng ra di kenya, re fitlile se zingasekho. Because our communities to athatha the very things that we assist our communities with, bazithathe bazise ezindlini zabo. So into esiyicelayo ukuthi ama community members, nani you need to be our ambassadors, nisincede. Because lezi zinto sizenzela nina, asizenzeli thina. Masizenzile sinifakela lezo zinto lezo, siyacela ukuthi lilona ibe lona batho ba gatang gore go ska fitla batho banke those things, and then whether I don't know ba di sa go dintlong tsa bona kapa ba ilo di rekisa, but we know who those people are. Ra ba tseba, and we see them, but we do nothing about those things, and then the next thing the department gets blamed for those things. So one of the things that we do, and perhaps Mepalisa, perhaps we've not gone to our areas enough to actually teach our communities about the fact that dirty can actually be gold. Waste ya rona ke amutla me nomvuyo are the buyback centers, maybe we should limit them, but the buyback centers they are reduced because renally more the landfill sites more relaxelang dirty koteng. Those landfill sites are getting full because udoti wonke sifake ma dustbin si ulahlele kuma landfill sites instead of ukuthi si separate udoti esinawo. So uma endlini into ekufanele ukuthi siyenze ukuthi we need to separate udoti esifaka kuma dustbin wethu. Kufanele ukuthi sazi ukuthi ama glass siwafaka endaweni eyi1 noma sithatha ama plastic ama checkers ufaka udoti ama glass kwi checkers eyi1 ufaka amaphepha kwenye ufake okunye ama cardboard kwenye, and then we take those things for recycling, ama plastics and everything. So those things we can take for recyclings and really ensure ukuthi udoti asiufaki endaweni eyi1 ngoba mase siufaka endaweni eyi1 so uhlangahlangene uluza i-value. We're able to take izinto ezinjengokudla esingakusebenzisi instead of ukuthi sikufake kuma dustbin, why singakufaki emhlabathini so that imihlabathi yethu iba fertile, so that uma siplanta noma ispinach noma ikhabishi noma yini umhlaba wethu ufertile, we are able to do those things. So we need to learn ukuthi waste is gold. Ama plastiki, ama glass siyakwazi ukuthi siwathengise so that they don't end up going to ama landfill sites, but we are able to take them to ama buyback centers and we get money. So through waste, we are able to have ama entrepreneurs from e-waste. Lawa ama entrepreneurs uyahamba uyothengisa ama glass, uyakwazi ukuthi uthole from ukuthengisa, because baya where and then they give you money. Uyakwazi ukuthi uthole in one ukuthengisa okuyi-1, uyakwazi ukuthi uthole, I've seen it, 15,000, 20,000 at a go. So waste does not have to end up estradeni the way senza ngakhona. It doesn't have to end up emadustbin sifaka yonke into silahlela noma kukuphi. So I think it's important that we do that. I think the third thing I want to say before siphendula ama questions enwabuzile, iGauteng is very small. So iGauteng ayinamhlaba. Asinayo iland eGauteng. So if sizobheka ukuthi sonke re batla go bana le land ya go jala, it's not going to be possible. The population ya Gauteng is about 16.7 million or something like that. And if each and every one of us babatla land, it's not going to be possible. Harina lefatshe in Gauteng, haleyo. Now, as batho ba Gauteng, we need to learn gore if re batla go jala, we must not wait for ourselves to have land, because it's not going to be possible. Re khona go use old tires. Siyakhona ukuyuza ama box. Siyakhona ukuyuza ama plastic for ukuthi sitshale. You know, I always make an example yabo mama baseThokoza abangenamhlaba, abo mama baseThokoza. Ukhona omunye ohlala eJobert Park abanamhlaba bahlala emafletini, but they use whatever they can get. By use ama plastiki, ama tire, old tires, ama boxi, ama old tires, ama plastiki. They use ama saga. Ama saga la ebe setshenziswa for umilimili, angazi noma sesekhona na. Abantu bawageze bese sisebenza lawo ma saga lawo to plant. Sifaka umhlaba, sifaka umanyora, siplante. Siyakwazi ukuplanta, and mase siplantile siyakwazi ukuthi sithengiselane, siyakwazi ukuthi sidle ukudla okunutritious. But if mina ngiplanta ikhabishi, ngicela usisinonceba ukuthi aplante ngitheni mina anyanisi, omunye aplanta spinach kanjalo kanjalo. Whatever, ama potato, whatever. Angithi siyakwazi ukuthi sichenjisane. So usisinonceba uzonginika ispinach sakhe, ngimnike ikhabishi yami, umncedisi asinike ianyanisi, sonke siyanikana, and all of us are able ukuthi sidle ukudla okunutritious. Makhulunywa ngama 5 colors, angithi 5 colors siyakwazi ukuthi senze kanjalo. So when MEC was talking ekuqaleni uthe singabantu abamnyama kuyafanela ukuthi siyeke lento leyo ukuthi sidependa ku government kuphela. Asifundeni ukuthi sizenzele, sinezandla, sinemiqondo, and we've got the capability, the capacity, siyakwazi. Masizomela ugovernment, it's not going to happen, because nathi imali esinikwayo limited. It's not asikwazi ukuthi singa supporta wonke umuntu, but it's important ukuthi siqale sizenzele, kuthiwa vukuzenzele, siqale sizenzele. And mase siqalile ukuzenzela, mase siya ku government sithi mina sengenze ukuthi, ngicela ukuthi ngoba mina sengiplantile ama peanuts, sengifuna manje uku-agro processor ukuthi lama peanuts abe yi-peanut butter. So uyeza ku government, ugovernment uyabona ukuthi ngempela uyazizamela. So ugovernment will then be able ukuthi akuncedise. So I'm really saying ukuthi asiyekeni ucabanga ukuthi government is going to do everything. It's not going to be possible. Yes, asivukeni sizenzele. And then izani ke nithi sesihambe safika la. And we can't go any further. And that's when government will then come and assist. So the other thing that I wanted to say, ukuthi kunama processes nama procedures. So kufanele apply and siyaye sikhiphe i-advert. I-advert sikhipha, I think before July. Yeah, sikhipha kusho ukuthi siqala ngo-April until end of July. Sikhiphe ama-application i-advert ukuthi abantu ba-apply for the next financial year. So siyaye sifake ama-adverts ethu kuma-newspaper, siwafake futhi kuma-community radio stations, so that abantu bazi ukuthi kukhona lama adverts esiwenzile, and therefore fanele apply so that the government is then able to assist you. Sengiphendula ke imibuzo, ngizocela ama colleagues ami ukuthi angincedise lapho ngizobe ngingakhonanga khona. I think sizwile kukhona abaningi benu abathe bacela usizo, kukhona abathe bacela usizo ngama boreholes, kukhona abathe bacela usizo ngefencing, kukhona abacele usizo about other things. Umncedisi bekaloku athatha ama details alabantu abacele usizo, but I think okubalulekile uloku kokuthi asi-applyeni so that then that the government is then able to consider ama applications ethu, and that way we will then be able to be assisted by government. Kukhona ubaba wama military veterans othe they've got an issue ye rubble eMidval. I hope siwathathile ama details, but sizoyibheka into yase Midval, and we will be able to assist. We must also indicate ukuthi njengoba sishilo i-responsibility kamasipala ukuthi benze lokho, but sinikiwe i-responsibility yokuthi sihambe siyocleana kuma-tish areas, being townships, informal settlements and hostels. So it's something that we will be embarking on. We will be cleaning, including Nasa Alex. So in fact, I shouldn't say including Nasa Alex, but in all townships, informal settlements and hostels, those processes are going to be unfolding. Ukhona ubaba othe uma siphinda senza ama statistics, we should say ukuthi what is the population. We've taken that into consideration, and I'm sure we will be able to do that. I think one of the things mhlambe uMC azontshela zona as she makes ama remarks wakhe is that she has actually given us an instruction ukuthi we need to go into townships and have ama markets. These markets, so we are going to be having ama farmers markets. Yeah, thank you. We're going to be having ama farmers markets in ama townships. So you will know about those farmer markets that we're going to be having. And what we're really hoping, ukuthi, a lot of you who've got produce will also come and become part of those markets that we're going to be having. Ubab Maluleka was a Brakpan. Uti ulise land from farm rather from rural development since 2015. Babu Maluleka, sizothatha ama details wako if askaka watati, but lama farm la eniwalisayo eniwathola rural development avela national. Agriculture in the province does not have any farms at all. Asinawo ama farms. Asinawo at all. So askwazi ukunika abantu abafarm, we've never given anybody ama farms. Kukhona siqale i-process yokuthi sicele ama farms from EDID, but that process is still unfolding. Tina asinawo ama farm at all. So le farm babumaluleka okhuluma ngayo yi-farm oyithole national. So sizokuhlanganisa no chief director Rachel ukwenzela ukuthi azokuncedisa, and I think in the process we will look at how we can then also get involved in assisting in that regard. Ubab Mabaso uthe ucela umhlaba sesishilo ke ukuthi thina umhlaba asinawo Ubab Mabaso at all in the department. Ubab Khumalo wase Western area ukhuluma ngokuthi le ndawo le it's a mining area. I'm not sure how we deal with this issue yokuthi senza kanjani. Nami ngizocela abaphathi bami ukuthi bangincedise ukuthi what then do we do? I don't think department has got indlela. I'm not sure, but we will ask. And then Ume Alina ucele ama pesticides, wacela i-feed, wacela i-borehole. Siwathathile ama details ka Me Alina. Me Alina, if asiwathatha ngama details, sicela ukuthi usinike ama details akho. Ngiyazi ukuthi siwathathile ama details ka mama wase Mamelodi East. Okhuluma ngokuthi baya planta emva kwe bridge, and I think sizobheka ukuthi sincedisana kanjani no mama wase Mamelodi, because I think that's one of the areas we would really be interested in being involved in, so we'll deal with that. Ubaba wase Ekenof othe ucela I borehole with I water tank. Umember Chitangano bese kasitshelile ngani bantu base Ekenof. I think nani sizothatha ama details so that we look at how we deal with yourself, we assist you in what you've asked for. But the first thing that we will do is to ensure that you apply, so that we are not seen to be doing something illegal. Nomvuyo uthe ubuze ngama 3-wheelers, ama tax that we have. Very long story, very long story. There's nothing we can do ngala ma tax. Okwamanje we have an instruction ukuthi singawathindi. An instruction ivela kude kabi. So there's nothing we can do at this point. We had started the process of actually giving ama beneficiaries, because we know, we appreciate the fact that those tax are very helpful. Ukuthi azoncedisa njengoba bowusho abantu bazokwazi ukuthutha udoti, abantu bazokwazi ukuthengisa ama vegetables and all of those things. But at this point, izandla zethu there's nothing we can do about those at this point in time. Umam Kanyana simzwile. Just to say ukuthi indaba zama bakery akusi indaba zethu, indaba ze economic development. Mam Kanyana, so there's nothing much we can do, but sikuzwile ngendaba ye mushroom. And then ubabu Chris Dlamini uthe yena ucela umhlaba, sishilo ke ukuthi umhlaba wona asinawo. Ubabu Mukhupudi wase Mukhale City, who's an event management person, nabo bacela ama boreholes, ama fences, sizwile. esishilo sathi asina land, ama-markets sishilo ukuthi sizoba nawo ama-farmers markets in the various townships. I think eyokugcina or ubabu Mkwena, Thapelo Mkwena, once more Babu Mkwena, we will get you in touch with Idalt, because that's who you got the land from, not from ourselves. So we will get you in touch with them. And as I said, we will see how we also assist in that regard. And then Ubutsepo was a Mamelodi East. We did say ukuthi umama bekakhulumile ke Mamelodi East, and we are going to assist where you are. And I think you were asking ukuthi the question was actually to MEC ukuthi how are we going to make agriculture fashionable? But really just to say ukuthi agriculture is not really just about ukuplanta emhlabathini. But there are a number of things that people can do. And there's a lot of youth who are already involved in agriculture, in issues of agro-processing. Kukhona abanye abatshala ama-herbs, bese lawo ama-herbs get turned into ama-cosmetics. So there's a big agro-processing. And eqinisweni, imali ayikho emhlabathini la ekutshaleni, imali ikwi-agro-processing. So if we can also start looking at issues of agro-processing, that's where the money is. So if kuguti njenga abantu abasha ngithi bayasaba ukuncola babe sebemhlabathini, ikhona agro-processing. I was saying ukuthi omunye umuntu kutshalwa ama peanuts bese bona benza peanut butter, and then they are able to assist sikwazi nathi ukubancedisa nge market access. But there's a lot that can be done, and we do want a lot of our young people to actually get involved with agriculture. Ngiyabonga angazi noma
Sorry, about first speaker, so that we get you on record. About Mike, because nobody, not everyone can hear you. Kikopa, quite a new speech. Just get to the point of what you want to know, the clarity you need, please.
Hello.
Hello. Ngithi agro processing ne siyayenza. Kuyilento food under food resilience. Ama requirements wakhona ile indicate ile ngingayikhuluma emphasize ukuthi we need indawo ukuthi sizokwazi ukuthi sisebenzele kuyo. Ngaze ngasho ngathi indawo zikhona lezi indawo ezivaliwe bekuma factory ezingasasebenzi masingancedwa ukuthi lezo indawo lezo zikwazi ukuthi zilungiswe, then bese kuyena ziyasetshenziswa thina sisebenzisa ngoba mawusebenzela endlini yakho kulento kunama requirements fanele kube nelentuzana ne indawo yakho akumelanga ukuthi ibe duze ne toilet. Angithi sinama toilet inside, then nama khisha amancane bafuna a specific place whereby singakwazi ukuthi sisebenzele. We've got resources places indawo njengama hall ne ama community halls anawo amakhishi, but lawo makhishi lawo awamithi istandard esifunekayo. So thina sicelayo ukuthi kwi-agro processing space sibe nendlela yokuthi sithole ukuthi sikhule sisebenza ngoba really we are competing with big fish. Imagine ngimncane ngizokucompete ne shark izongigwinya mos abo tiger brand yiwa ama sharks lawo esicompete now, and as we can't reach them ngoba we don't even have machinery, we don't have machines ezokusebenza, all the necessary resources asinazo. So we need to start there and see ukuthi sikhuphuka kanjani, and ukuthi sifike emashelfini nakhona is still another red tape okokuthi yenzo ubusi yenzo umabhena, then ayenzanga ulentuzana ubanbani uyabona, especially mase kubhekwa nebala, and ebona phela there were advantage ngaleso sikhathi bebanazo zonke izinto. So thina into esicelayo ukuthi can we just link us nabo abo Tiger brand, angithi there's a percentage eye BEE bayenzani kuleyo BEE bakwazi ukuthi basi absorbe, then sisebenze nabo amanye amabhundu akhona ukuthatha ama-farmers asebenzisane nawo then bakhulu. So yiloko esicelayo ukuthi sinida ukuthi sisebenzisane nabo labo abaphezulu ngababiza ngamagama bona abo Tiger brand abo Khu abo Ntontoni. We need to reach the space, but we cannot because izinto zethu azikho ku quality le efunekayo angithi. So besicela ukuthi sibhekeleke kulelo phuzu lelo. Ngiyabonga, thank you.
MEC umam Kwanyana ugwi ward MEC umam Kwanyana ugwi ward Women in Agriculture and Rural Development, and that is your that's your organization, MEC. So umam Kwanyana une opportunity yokuthi mabezile bezobona MEC because nizobona MEC zonke lezi zinto zikhulumayo sizodiscussa no MEC, and incidentally what you are saying is in the plans zaka MEC. Siyavumelana now akunamuntu okwalelayo, but the point I'm making is that we will have further engagement. Okugcina mangisuka la ngicela ukuthi sonke sitshaleni ihlahla endaweni zethu. So umuntu nomuntu ngokomthetho fanele sitshale ihlahla ezi4 per person ngokomthetho, but it's not going to be possible. From ihlahla siyakwazi ukuthi sithole umthunzi, isinike oxygen, isinike ukudla, sikwazi ukudila ne soil erosion lezi zinto lezi ze climate change, but also yenza kube kuhle la sihlala khona endaweni zethu ku brown, nike nabona ku brown. So asitshaleni ihlahla ukwenzela ukuthi indawo zethu nazo zibe zinhle zibe green. Ngiyabonga.
Yeah, thank you very much, HOD, for the responses. I just want to also check, as you come to do the second quarter presentation, just to check that financial report, is it ready now? Will you be able to do it after her presentation? Thank you, CFO.
Good afternoon, Sanbona again. I'm not sure if the second quarter report is ready. There we go. There's a hand waving. I'm not sure if it's requiring my attention.
No, we've passed the hand issues. Let's proceed with the presentation.
Okay.
Question. No. Don't disrupt my meeting, sir. Refitile party question and answers. Everybody had an opportunity to raise their hands. If you've got a specific thing that you want to know, you can come to the front and speak to the HOD. Let's have a meeting procedure. When I declared this thing as this venue as a precinct of the legislature, I said that we need to abide by the rules and orders of the legislature. So this is not how we conduct our business. When we open a session for questions, we deal with questions, responses. Now it's the time to take a presentation. You may proceed.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. So now I'm going to quickly go through the second quarter presentation for the department. This is the 2022 report for the second quarter. So this is the the outline of the presentation. This is to just say that as a department, we are implementing 2 Apex projects that are outlined in the delivery agreement of the MEC. The one program is on agri-food value chain acceleration Apex program. This program, under this program, we have interventions on urban food production as a catalyst for food security, the land and agrarian reform as a driver for sector transformation, and the positioning of GCR as Africa's agro-processing and cannabis mecca. And the second Apex project that we are implementing as a department is the low carbon just energy transition Apex program, in which we have climate change response and the waste and green economy. And of course, these programs are aligned to the national priorities and the provincial priorities. This is to just to ensure that we've complied to the template of the legislature to say that we have had no emerging priorities in the second quarter. This might change in the third quarter. We've got we have no resolution management for the period under review, and petitions as well as international relations. In terms of our performance for the second quarter, we planned for 45 indicators in the the total of 56 targets were planned for in the second quarter. 45 were achieved, which is 80% achievement, and we did not achieve against 11 of our indicators, which then amounts to 20%. And the breakdown there in the bottom is the 20% is coming from administration. 2 indicators were not achieved. In program 3, 8 indicators were not achieved, and 1 was not achieved in environmental affairs. And the table below talks to the total indicators per program. In program 1, we had 5 indicators, 3 were achieved, which is 60%. In program 2, 38 indicators in total were planned for, 30 were achieved, which is 79%. And in program 3, 13 were planned for, 12 were achieved, which is 92%. The following slides are just a graphical presentation of what I've spoken to, so I'm going to skip through them. These are the areas of performance, or the 45 indicators that we've achieved on. We've been able to reduce irregular expenditure by 100% as a department. We've also been able to achieve on the work opportunities that have been created through TSEPO 1 million. The target for quarter 1 was 750. We have achieved we have created 1,103 work opportunities through this program. We've also been able to resolve all our Ntirisano commitment. So these are the issues that are raised against the department in terms of service delivery. So when we received these queries, we were able to resolve and make sure that the clients are happy after we've resolved them. We also were able to meet the target of 10 infrastructure, agricultural infrastructure that was established in quarter 2. These are fences and nets that we've been able to install in some of the farms. We've also been able to develop for some of our clients farm management plans. We assist our farmers or our clients in terms of developing plans that are compliant in terms of the sustainable land use principles. So we've done that. The target was 20. We've been able to do 39 for the end of quarter 2. And these are awareness campaigns that we do to make sure that our farmers are aware of the risks that are coming in terms of the weather and anything that could impact on their agricultural produce. We were able to conduct these awareness campaigns and do surveys to check if our farmers are happy with the service that we are providing to them. In Q2, we were able to assist 21 women producers with broiler and layer feeds in Q2. So the target was 15. We were able to assist 21. So we've overachieved on this one. And just to say that we've got a list, and we've been able to provide this list of all our beneficiaries that we are supporting in each quarter to the portfolio committee, and we can do that to this new portfolio committee if it's what is required, so that you know exactly who we are supporting, because we do verify that these things are going to the relevant people. In terms of small producers supported to produce food in Sidibeng, we have supported 15 producers against the target of 10. We've also assisted them with layer feeds and broiler feeds in Sidibeng and West Rand. In terms of participants trained, I'm taking time to go through the achievements, so yes, you can see that we are doing something in the communities. In terms of the training of participants in skills development, we've trained 219 participants. These participants were trained in terms of maize production, small stock, farmer record keeping. One of the questions was coming through in terms of the record keeping. So we are assisting farmers as the department in terms of ensuring that they are able to keep record and they can eventually be able to develop, to produce financial statements. So we've been able to train them, 219 of them against the target of 210. And we've also been able to provide capacity building activities. These are farmers' days, study groups that enable our farmers to get some technical advice on the produce that they are producing. We were able to do 556 of these, and for commercialized farmers, 45. In terms of subsistent women producers that have been supported by the department, we had a target of 1,250. We were able to support 1,469 female or women producers with production input, the training, extension, and advisory services that has enabled us to achieve on this particular target. In terms of veterinary services, we do weekly inspections around the foot and mouth disease that was an outbreak recently, and as a result, we were able to overachieve against this particular indicator on visits to epicenters or epi units. In terms of cases attended to at Temba Clinic, this is the veterinary clinic that is in Hammanskraal, that the department is making services available to communities through. So in terms of the cases that were attended to, we've been able to overachieve this by about 4,000 against the target of 4,000. This talks to the samples that have been tested for animal disease. We also are overachieving on this one, and again, this is a demand-driven, it's based, demand-driven target that is based on the samples that have been collected. As a department, we have a responsibility to make sure that our farmers are ready for the export market, so we assist them in making sure that they are ready to do so, and once they reach a certain level, we issue export certification so that they're able to export their produce. And in this quarter, we had a target of 4,000 certificates that we wanted to issue. We were able to overachieve and issue 5,131 certificates. I think I'm going to jump some of them because it's quite a few. These are all agricultural achievements, In the next slide is just one that I want to, or two that I want to talk to, is the hectares that were worked by the GDAD tractor. We had a target of 1,000. We were able to work 1,792 hectares of land for this quarter. And the women benefiting from agri-parks, these are women that are running the agri-parks. This number does not necessarily include the women that are employed under these women. So for the quarter two, is the 3 women that are running the agri-parks have benefited from the department's services. Jumping to the section where we talk about environmental issues. We have quite a big department, so the indicators are a lot. So in terms of achievements on the environment side, we completed criminal investigations that have been handed to the NPA. We had a target of 9, and 19 have been handed over to NPA for prosecution. These are offenders on the environmental side. So more witnesses came through, and they were able to finalize their statements. As a result, we were able to achieve on these ones. And we also were able to conduct compliance inspections, 83 of them against the target of 75. In terms of S24G applications that have been finalized, we were able to finalize 11 against the target of 8. This means that all the fines that were due to the departments were submitted, or they were paid within the reporting time frame. And this is just the compliance on the atmospheric emission licensing. We are at 100%, and the issues of waste licenses that have been processed and finalized, we've processed 100% of these that have applied. And yeah, I think I'm going to just jump the rest and go to the areas of underachievement. And I've said that in terms of the areas of underachievement, under administration, the invoices paid within, so in the previous report, we were reporting on invoices paid within 15 days. So as a department, we keep pushing the boundary to see how best we can do as we minimize the days in which we pay our suppliers. So we started from 30 days, 15 days, now we're pushing ourselves to paying them within 10 days. So in terms of the payment within 10 days, we are at 90% against a target of 100, but in terms of 15 days and 30 days, we are at 100% as a department. And of course, we have not achieved the clean audit as per the last report because of the reasons that have been stated. I will not repeat that. This is the one on the hectares of agricultural land rehabilitated, green jobs created, and hectares of cultivated land under conservation agricultural practice. These 3 indicators, Honorable Chairperson, are funded through the Land Care Grant. And it's a process that is run by the National Department. We are dependent on them to finalize the business cases in time. And in this case, they had not. So we had not started to implement these ones. But I want to bring to the confidence of the committee that the implementation has started since they have approved the business case. The business plan has been approved. We have started with the implementation of this particular project. Tenders have been issued, so we are confident that we will be able to report on significant progress in quarter 3 in terms of these 3 indicators. But they are all affected by the Land Care Grant, which is dependent on the National Department. In terms of producers supported in the red meat commodity, we were not able to achieve against the target of 3 because of the 2 purchase orders that were issued. However, the service providers were still outsourcing the goats, so we were not able to deliver the goats to the producers on time. We have done follow-up meetings with the service providers, and we are finalizing the supply of these deliveries before the end of Q3. Similar with the smallholder producer supported, they are affected by this particular one. In terms of the financial performance for Q2, the department is currently on 41% at spending. If you look at program 1, we had a budget of 262 million. We are at 54% of achievement of that particular budget. In terms of program 2, we are at 29%, and program 3 is 49%. So in overall, we are at 41%. And this is just the detail on what I've spoken to, and we've spoken in the previous presentation about the irregular expenditure that comes from the previous financial year and the investigations that have been implemented in terms of the recommendations to resolve these. So I will not go into detail in terms of this again. In terms of fruitless and wasteful expenditure, there was no fruitless and wasteful expenditure for Q2. And these are just administrative issues. In terms of AG requests, we have not received any in Q2, as well as PSC information requests. In terms of GIODI, the department has 52 overall female employed in the department. 66% of the SMS is female, and 2.9% of the overall staff is people with disabilities. And these are just public engagements that we've embarked on for Q2. As a department, these are BKB, Buntleki-Butu cleanups that we've engaged in, the Ambient Information Day, and also the Nelson Mandela activities that we embarked on for the 67 minutes, and also, the summer grain harvesting season was also held in Sidibeng district. These are some of the engagements that we've had with the public in the Q2. I think that brings me to the end of the presentation. Thanks. No.
Thank you very much. Maybe there's something that I need to explain to you, our stakeholders, so that you understand our processes. Ne? This report we're talking now, it's a second quarter report. And that one, it's the annual report. So what we do, the department reports every quarter to the portfolio committee. First quarter, second quarter, third quarter, until we get the overall picture of the annual report, the performance of the 4 quarters, because there's 4 quarters in a year. So what we do, we track progress in terms of their targets and so on, so that if they are underperforming, we are able to put pressure to say, but here, there's a problem, so that ultimately they get to improve on their annual performance as a whole. Ne? So this report is just for noting. We are not going to interrogate it. The portfolio committee has noted some of the issues. As we engage with the department, we are able to then put pressure on those areas that are underperformance. However, I've noted there are areas where you have exceeded your targets. So I was asking myself questions, even when I looked at the annual report yesterday, to say, but why in some instances you are way exceeding your targets? Is it because the targets are too low to an extent that you exceed them by a huge margin, or what? Will there be a need to revise those targets, or what, based on the way Lidi exceed Ankateng? And of course, one of the speakers raised the question here, in some instances we'll need to see the evidence where you say you have performed, like for instance, the issue here, the 10 agriculture infrastructure. As a portfolio committee, we would want to see, physically, those 10 infrastructure projects. So this is the work that we will continue to do with your assistance, of course, our stakeholders. And I think, Lebo, we need to note the fact that maybe in our next meeting, or where possible, we'll talk about it, to see where we can invite the stakeholders in our meeting with the department, in our next engagement with the department, so that they then also get an opportunity to delve deep into the issues and ask relevant questions, so that we are able to nudge the department to be able to walk in the right path so that our stakeholders are satisfied at the end of the day, so that we realize the service delivery that we want to see for everybody. I get. And I'm happy that this is a standalone portfolio committee now. We will have time to do that. Previously, in early stepchild, is economic development. So some of the issues got overlooked because the work was too much. It was overwhelming for the one portfolio committee. So now that we are standalone, we will have more time to interrogate some of the issues and maybe realize some of the objectives that we want to realize with the department. So, like I said, this report is for noting, and further engagement with the department will proceed to monitor progress. Before we conclude, I'm going to request the CFO to just give us the financials, the outstanding report in terms of the annual report, so that we get the global picture of the performance of the department in terms of your finances. Thank you very much. Over to you.
Good afternoon, Honourable Chair, Honourable Members, MEC, HD, and all our colleagues here today. The presentation that I want to give is just on the 2021-22 annual report, the financial part of the presentation. My name is Barry Finter. I'm the acting CFO in the Department of Agriculture. And then I'm not sure if the presentation, it will be just loaded now. Just want to give some time.
Please assist with loading the presentation, whoever is responsible, so that we can see the figures.
Chair, must I quickly go and assist? Maybe just to assist, it's called GDOT Portfolio Committee. No, it's for the 11th of November.
Okay, let's get the right presentation flighted. For the 11th of November, you said? It's 11th November. Yeah, that's the one. Okay, thanks.
Okay, thank you, Chair. Then I will just quickly move on. So the department's performance at the end of the 31st March 2022, we've got 3 programs in the department. Program 1 is administration. Then second program is agriculture and rural development, and the third program is environmental affairs. So for program 1, administration, the final appropriation of the department for program 1 was 269,455,000. At the end of 31 March, the department was able to spend 263,663,000. So that's a 5.7 million under expenditure, and the percentage spent is 97.9%. The second program, agriculture and rural development, the final appropriation was 457,365,000. The department managed to spend 382,200,000 305,000. So there's a variance of 75,000 that was also reported by the AG in their audit report, and that's the expenditure of 83.6%. Program 3, Environmental Affairs, the final appropriation was 317,991,000. Of that, we spent 298,750,000. So there's a 19.2 million under expenditure. The percentage spent for Program 3 then was 93.9%. So the total for the department, also as reported by AG, we sat at a 90.4% at the end of the 21-22 financial year. If we can go then just to the next slide. This is just the breakdown per economic classification. So you will see on compensation of employee, we spend about 100% of our COE budget. Goods and services, we spent 81.2%. Transfers and subsidies, we managed to spend 78.4%. And then on your payments for capital assets, we're sitting at a 72.6%. Then just again, the total expenditure is 90.4% for the department. Honourable Chair and members, as HOD indicated in the response as well, is remember at financial year, although we underexpend by that 75 million, the department have requested then for a rollover request. On equitable share, it was 32 million, and then on conditional grants, there was a 70 million rollover request. We, however, did get confirmation from Provincial Treasury that of the equitable share, 29 million has been approved, and as well as our 70 million rollover request for forecast was also approved. That then brings out the additional money for this coming financial year to 46 million. Then that's just the end of the presentation. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you very much for the update. Yeah, I think here he was just making a breakdown on the under expenditure that we so much talked about to show us the areas of under expenditure in terms of the programs tse leng hore department e na le tsona. So it was just fella for the record because we need to get this presentation right. As the portfolio committee, we do have all the documents as well. We will still be able to interrogate them so that when we pose questions to the department, we ask them relevant questions based on the information on the figures in the presentation, so that we are able then to work on that expenditure part. Dissect it program by program and ask her why on program 1 underspendile. They must be able to tell us their challenges, and we should be able to, with the assistance here, MEC, to assist them to say no, but this is what you can do so that you can realize your expenditure patterns. Ne? Yeah, so I hope that we are together on that note, and I want us to then proceed. Lebo, if you can take us through the rest of the items on the agenda in terms of the petitions, the correspondences. You can go through all of them until to the last end, unless if there's any one of them that needs engagement by the honorable members, they will indicate to me if they want to raise anything. You can proceed.
Thank you, Chair. Good afternoon once again. Chair, under resolutions, we don't have anything, none. For provincial bills, there's also none. Petitions, we've also made follow-ups. We don't have any outstanding petitions. Correspondences, Chair, there's none as well. And
just to speak closer to the.
Oh, okay. Okay, let me Apologies. Chair, these are the following items. Under resolution tracking, we have nothing. Provincial bills, we have none as well. Petitions, we followed up. For now, we don't have anything that has been referred to the committee. Correspondence, Chair, nothing. Other matters we said we'll deal with at the next meeting. And the committee will be meeting on the 22nd of November. And these are the items that are outstanding today. Thank you, Chair.
Thanks, Lebo. And I noted that there's 2 sets of minutes that we did not go through. So I hope that on that day, on the 22nd, we'll deal with the minutes. Ne? Okay, thank you very much, Lebo. I'm going to request the MEC to come in, as I had indicated, so that she just captures all the responses as per the responses that we got from the officials from the department. MEC, over to you.
Thank you, Slalo. Maybe just to continue from where the HOD was speaking on some of the responses. A lot of the comments that came up is just concern about our under expenditure, and I think that's well noted. The HOD had indicated that it is a concern that we are worried about. And to give just some, what I would say, some information with regards to how and the difficulties that are there in terms of government and how it works. At the beginning of every year, we've got what we call APP, which is your annual plan, and you have to cost it. So it's like in your own home, mawenzi grocer. You're going to spend 15 rand on cabbage, 20 rand on itamati, ganjalo. We do the same thing with government. And that gets submitted. So that's what becomes our plan for how much we're going to use. And if there's problems along the way and you can't spend the amount that you had put aside, let's say that 15 rand for a cabbage, you can't redirect that money. It has to go through a process. So that's why you find sometimes a department under expenditure because they can't just move the money without authorization. And that's what HOD would have spoken to. We can do that, but you only do it as per the intervals. You can't just at any point, uthathi imali, lebo uyibeke for ikhabishi uyise to something else. What that creates is an irregular expenditure, which is a bigger trouble. Because then the HE will say to us, why have you used this money for what you didn't, for what you said you're not going to use it for? So we have to be accountable for every cent that is there. I thought I should just give some background, but because you do have an interval where you can do what we call to reprioritize imali yakho. So imali mayikhona uyakwazi ukusho ukuthi no la we're underspending but besicela uyisebenzisa for something else, then they allow you, but it's at certain intervals. It's not just at any point. And that's how that under expenditure comes about. But HOD had indicated what we are looking into now is to identify la imali ingamuvi khona so that we're able to take it to areas where we can be able to utilize it. I thought I should just give a very simplified explanation of just the accounting behind government funds. So that is the one. The other issue is market access is very important, and I think there was a guy who made a comment. Siyalima, but we don't have access to a market. And part of the engagements we had with the department was that all of us were in farming and we all want to supply to Pick n Pay, to ShopRite, and all these other places. And I was saying to the department, why do you want to wait for a Pick n Pay or ShopRite or a Boxer and so forth when a market is called a lokshin? A market is called a lokshin. So we must begin to create that ecosystem so that we're able to sell amongst each other, because that is your market. So Premier Way too has said we must focus on teach. So remember I was saying what it's townships, informal settlements, hostels, so that we what masilima uyakwazi ukuthengisa. Abomama kakhulu abathengisayo, what we call street hawkers. That is where the majority of your food goes. And yapi bayathengisa elokshin. So we can work together, and part of what the department is doing is to identify that model that we're going to bring into emalokshin wethu, and how we utilize even your street hawkers as part of that ecosystem. So nani manilema, you know, you're going to take your goods and we deposit them somewhere and you get your money so that nabo bakwazi kanjalo. So it's about building an ecosystem. So that singalindi every time sisitshela ukuthi no, let's wait for ShopRite and so forth. You don't need to. It's about making sure ukuthi in our townships we begin to spread the rent, which is not happening currently. In fact, in our township we've got what we call consumers, right? And not producers. So we want to start flipping that script so that we can be able to utilize that as our immediate market. And then agro-processing is a big area, very, very big area. HOD was indicating asna umhlaba in Gauteng. There's some parts, but in real sense, we don't have umhlaba. That's why, because kugcwele abantu wonke umuntu uzalana for economic opportunities that they want to have, everybody gravitates to a Gauteng. But through agriculture and the technology that is coming, there are different ways for us to do agriculture. There's what we call a vertical farming, where you've got your hydroponics and so forth. Technology that allows you to not need lots of land anymore. So when we were saying we want to make it fashionable, it's to show even young people, because wonke umuntu makacabanga about farming, they're thinking about ukuthi kumele ube eplazini, ubo gogo, ubo mkhulu, uzingcolise, whatever. Yabona? It's not that. So there's a lot of technology that has come into the space, and we are saying that as Gauteng, we are forced by our own circumstances that we don't have umhlaba. So it means we must be creative and utilize creative ways of how we continue to farm. So technology is an important part. We were doing site visits to a rooftop. There are young people that are building on top of rooftops. In your malls, we've got a mall, what's that, Morningside Mall. On top of that mall, there's a farming that takes place. Many people don't know. It's a rooftop farm. It supplies to the big restaurants that are in that area. One of the most popular restaurants, which is loved by a lot of people, it's called Signature. They get their food from that farm. So we want to go into ama townships where to the informal settlements, nama hostel, and teach people what you don't need lots of land to farm anymore. And we want to bring in the technology so that people can understand what this thing is actually fashionable and it is an area. But here's another interesting study. Forbes, which is celebrated by many people, has indicated that the next billionaires in Africa are going to come out of farming. So it only makes sense that we are able to direct everybody towards this, because whatever the conditions may be, like we saw with the COVID, whilst every other sector was going down, farming was continuing. There were no problems. So what are you guaranteed? Which shows what Forbes is predicting is indeed the case, because no matter what happens, people have to eat on a daily basis. So what more can be more fashionable than being able to provide food and feed the nation? So we can have those who want to enter into IT, financial sector, and so forth, it's fine. But we are saying that if you want the future, it's in agriculture. And that's why we're going to do a lot of work to make sure we get young people, as many as possible, to begin to be farmers. Because our studies are also showing us farmers, a lot of them in the province are elderly people. So we need a lot more young people in farming, and that is the work that we're going to be focusing on. So in dealing with the issue here under expenditure also, because of the new priorities that the Premier has given, we have given ourselves a target which we want to halve poverty in the province. So our studies are indicating that just over 3 million people is what you'd call, I just forgot the term now, severe hunger. Just over 3 million people are considered to be under severe hunger. So we want to halve that, and we can only halve it by making sure we promote agriculture and people to start creating their own food. That's why I was saying, I'm a food parcel, yes, we'll do them, but as a long-term strategy, we want to stop giving out food parcels. It's not sustainable. But because if you give them a food parcel, it means we're feeding you for a day or for a week. But if we teach you to farm, we're feeding you for a lifetime. And that is what we need to teach people. So that is what we're going to be focusing on. And it also means ukuthi we'll be spending a lot more time edladleni, grounding, corner to corner. Every township, hostela, informal settlements, sizongena. So that abantu bakwazi ukubona ukuthi this thing is possible, and we will be partnering with ikolo, hostel, ibedlela, and so forth and so forth. So we'll be doing a lot of that work so that abantu bazi ukuthi we can be able to farm. And creating that ecosystem I was talking about. Yes, you can be able to sustain yourself, but if you want to go commercial, we must be able to utilize that economy that is there within the townships. And then just on issues of environmental sustainability, and I think this one is quite an important one. Premier wethu has indicated ukuthi siyazi ukuthi la sihlala khona kungcolile. So kumele sisebenzisane. We want to go in, sifuna ukuclean. Part of the things we're going to do, one, is to increase our EPWP intake so that we have abantu abazosincedisa, but we are also calling to our communities. Let's get better care of where we stay. Umuntu angabi comfortable ukuhlala la kungcole khona. Ngoba uzingcolisela wena, uletha ama disease for yourself, abantwana abadlala khona, we're not helping anybody. So angithi laba abafundisa iBhayibheli bathi cleanliness is close to godliness. Masizithande. So we will be doing a lot of this work, going into communities and making sure ukuthi siya cleaner, but also we green our communities. So HOD ubekhuluma la. Ecela umphakathi ukuthi we have to plant trees. It's not something esithi because nje sifuna beautify indawo. It's important. We're all of us, you're all farmers. You're speaking about the effects of these greenhouse emissions. So it's only to our benefit by making sure that we control our own environment by planting trees. So we are going to be expanding and going quite big on our 1 million trees campaign. Sinceda abantu sinilethele these fruit trees so that it's not just for shade, but abantu bayakwazi ukudla even out of them. Because asithanda ukuthi mawubheka ama-suburbs, mawubheka iSandton, ubheka iAlex, right next to each other, separated by a road. It's a different picture. You'll think you're in different parts of the country. One is nice, it's green, it's leafy, the other one is dusty and dirty. So we want to change that picture by making sure ukuthi la sihlala khona, it must be clean, we must have lots of trees, but also abantu baqala ukulima. So we'll be doing a lot of work in terms of that, but also focusing on agro-processing. Now, agro-processing, mawucabanga i-archer. I-archer ngithi is an agro-processed good. From imango, sonke siyayidla siyayithanda. So there's many things that are there that we can make. And part of that's why we want to make sure that we create this ecosystem. How do we sell to each other? Mangabe wena wenza ikhabishi omunye wenza amanzambane kanjalo kanjalo, we must be able to exchange. But also, how do we bring in the street hawkers as part of that? Iphaza lezi sicomplaina ngazo ukuthi amaPakistan angenile. We must be able to contest that space. Masithengise sibheke ukuthi what is this ecosystem and how do we make sure that we maximize with what we have. And then I think lastly is just comments, Chair, that I would have noted, issues around the monitoring. There's a lot of complaints ukuthi abantu abaphiwa ama-tractor, abantu abangawusebenzisi, so we'll look into that. These mobile fridges that we give and so forth. So we'll just do a lot of monitoring just to get a sense with where are these things going and how are people utilizing them. So that singapha abantu abangeke bazisebenzise ngoba siwastele isikhathi. Zihlala laphayana and they just collect dust. So we'll make sure that at least these assets go where they belong. To the people esazi ukuthi bazozisebenzisa. Yeah, I think the rest of the other issues, HOD would have been able to speak to them. Thanks, Chairperson.
Thank you. Thank you very much, MEC. I think you have captured this succinctly. and you've covered all the areas of concern by our stakeholders. And I think as partners, stakeholders, we are here to all learn and unlearn. Ne? Ho na le dilo tse ding tse re ithutileng tsona the wrong way. This is an opportunity for us to unlearn and learn new things. Emisi o boletse ka di-hydroponics, the new modern way of farming. There are a lot of things that we still need to learn as a community. And Elona, as leaders, as champions, we will rely on you to actually help educate abanye abantu abangazi nix. Okay? So we need to hold one another's hand, partner, re sebetse mmogo, so that we change the mindsets of our people for sustainability. So let's take the opportunity to thank everyone who made their time and effort to be here with us. I hope that it was not in vain. I think all of you and something that will help you to think, broader with further engagements with the portfolio committee as well as the department in the future. I really appreciate your participation and your love for farming. It's very inspiring to see a hall full of people who are passionate. Ke lebohe MEC, the department, HOD, and all the senior managers in the department for giving all the clarities and the presentations. Ke lebohe the support staff in the office of the chairperson, all the honorable members who are here, who supports you and do oversight on your behalf broadly, as well as the members of the media at the back here, assisting in the interpretation so that all of us could hear and not miss on anything that has been said. And yeah, I think everybody else, thank you so much. And for the gadgets, please make sure that you hand them back, because they are reusable. In your next public meeting, you will expect to have them. So high because they won't work. And then there is also, I'm told, there's also lunch prepared for all of you. And the elderly, the pensioners, but there will be 2 queues kwa dining hall. So bokoko le bontate moholo ba tshware queue ya bona so that go be quickanyana, and the rest of us will re tla tshwara queue e nngwe so that all of us re kgone ho ja. The space is small, so ba batla go be a little bit organized. So thank you very much. Ra leboga le ka moso ha re le biditse re expecta hore le be teng le tla itsamaela ka khotso. Thank you so much.